Oh my goodness. Wow.
He might call.
Wow.
Oh, he folded.
Welcome everyone. It is Tuesday, December 3rd, GGMillion's time. We got a very special guest. Sebastian Crema is in the mix. Sebastian, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing really well, Jeff. It's so good to be here, man. We've got an exciting final table ahead of us with, as always, a ton of money on the line here for the GG Millions.
It is. It's the 315 up top. We're going to get into that in a little bit. Over 75 million in earnings amongst the final tablists on GGPoker alone. We can take a look at your profile, someone up and coming. You've had some nice scores, and you also are a world-class, I guess, Pokemon trading card player, which is pretty intense. I can't say I know. I love trading cards. I collect sports cards, so I'm going to talk to you about that throughout the show at some point. Very, very cool. And so you've got some good scores under your belt and also have done some poker commentary, I know, with Miss Botez and some of the streams she was doing there in LA. So we look forward to getting to know you better. And again, seeing some unbelievable players at this final table, which we will go ahead and preview for you. But again, first, let's take a look at last week's winning hand. Pretty exciting stuff. Was another action-packed table. We can see P. Plausionitis got it done. First appearance, first win. So that is, I mean, I don't know. That might be good to walk away, take a break. That is kind of across the board, something you don't see very often. First appearance, first cash, first final table, first win. You can take a picture and stamp that. That is nice. And his GG earnings, 1.8 million, 315 of those coming from the GG Million. And we will take a look at his winning hand. Let's see that last week again versus Duco Haven, someone who has won 4 times, was going to be a 5-time winner or a first-time winner for Plausionitis. So there we go. 2 8s, gets min raised. Pretty nice hand in heads-up poker. And as I remember, yeah, he just goes ahead, does rip it in. They're not super deep. Duco, a little bit of thinking here, and he ends up calling it off. He did use some clock. I remember these players were on a long heads up, and there is A6 suited. Nice spot. 8's good favorite to win it, as we know he does win. There is a sweaty flop. The diamonds come out, but not going to be outdone by the turn set nut flush into a rivered boat. So yeah, can't get much more of a run out than that. That is a action run out, action finish there, as he does grab that title and deny Duco of his 5th. So that was our winner last week. This week we have some very familiar faces, and we also have some very strong players. One of those being Ponakovs, someone we see so often. We talk about, he's just there. 30 final tables, 4 wins, looking for his 5th. You can see on the all-time GG Million ranking, very high up there, adding to that total. Very impressive. Over 6 million of his GG earnings coming from there. We're gonna be focusing again on him. Again, some other great players, and he actually is a little bit on the shorter side. I believe 24 blinds. We'll look at that coming up here. But let's go ahead and dive into the entries in the prize pool. Very consistent. 145 entries, 315 up top. Everyone guaranteed over 4 buy-ins. And again, star-studded final table. This is not one. This is where you earn your stripes. This is for bragging rights. These are the best of the best. Some satellite winners do come through, but it is a very tough field. A couple Brazilians, couple Austrian players as well. I believe that's just par for the course. We're going to look at those and dive right into the 9th place contestant here today, Nikita Kuznetsov, who is someone who is no stranger here, and you can see 101 appearances, has 1 win, 15 final tables, 11 million in GG earnings, 2 of those million coming on the GG Million. I don't know how familiar you are with this player, but he also has come in second in a 10K online, and someone we've seen a fair amount of. I think, you know, in terms of his live stuff, he has a 480K cash and really impressive stuff. Also coming off a November 20K second at Triton for 358K. So again, no stranger to high rollers, playing the toughest tournaments in the world live and online, and someone that is, again, with 10 big blinds, you can't count out. Sebastian, you've seen a lot. Short stacks, you double once, you chip up a little bit, you can be right back in it. We'll take a look at those odds at the end before we go in and dive in. We'll have a little wager between me and you for dinner, and maybe, you know, a pretty good price probably for 10 big blinds at the 9th stack here. Are you familiar with Nikita at all? Have you played with him, or are you familiar with his game?
Definitely seen him do well in these tournaments online and live as well. Again, a regular with playing the Triton series all the time. So, you know, you look at this final table today, Jeff, and sometimes, as you mentioned, some of these satellite winners come through, but today I don't really see, you know, any weak spots. So it'll be really interesting today to see these top pros who are all kind of familiar with the high roller scene, whether it be live or online, do battle. So, you know, despite Nikita having only 10 bigs, just as you mentioned, takes one double and could be right back in the mix, change the whole complexion of the tournament.
Yeah, Benjamin Raleigh last week we saw on the short stack. He came in and then it was chip leader with 6 or 7 left. Ended up, I believe, getting 5th. But yeah, can turn quickly. And again, for the betting odds, if you are on the GG client, you want to take a look at those. Those are always exciting. And some of the shorter stacks who are experienced players, if they do get cooking, it is some value to check on. So, all right, let's dive into our 8th place player. Also interesting to note, Nikita has won a GGMillion 11 titles amongst the 9 players today. So some players have won, some have not, but there are a lot of titles lurking around. Diego Zeiter has not won a title, and I would say out of the GGMillion, he has over 7 million earnings. So experienced player, 65 appearances here, does not have a win, 4 final tables. Going to see if he can get that monkey off his back today. 20 big blinds, so more chips to play with. And again, ticking off that Austria flag is almost a guarantee here at the GGMillions. There he is right there in 8th place, 20 big blinds. Let's go to our number 7 stack. Barak Wisbrod, someone who is a absolute crusher. 19 final tables. He did get the win not too long ago, this year, after 19 tries. Again, so much variance at final tables, and it's so hard to actually get a win, but he has one of those, and this is 19 final tables and 100 appearances. Pretty impressive stuff. 12 million in earnings on GG, 4 million plus coming from the GGMillions, and you can see his starting stack, 24 big blinds, plenty to play with, but not one of the big stacks today. And what about Barak? Have you gotten to see some of his game or ever met him? I know he plays live too at the World Series and some other places out west coast too.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. So I mean, these final tables, they're such great study tools for up and coming players, for anybody who wants to improve their game. And what's so great about them too is that they're very condensed, right? The short period of time, you get a lot of hands in. And somebody like Barak, I feel like every time I watch one of these final tables for my own purposes, he seems to be there like at least half the time. So very familiar with his name, and to find success consistently at this level is all the more impressive. 10th. Hendon has him 10th on the Israel all-time money list. He's got some great live scores recently as well. 4th in a 3K freeze-out at this WSOP in June 23 for 223K. And then 3rd in a 10K secret bounty for 323K. So Barak is a crusher live and online, and he's, he'll be right in the mix here with 23 bigs. No stranger to this final table scene.
Absolutely. Definitely someone who can get it going. 24 blinds, lots of players. Let's go to our next player, and someone who we mentioned early on, Aleks Ponakovs, just an absolute force at the table. I believe 20 million in live earnings. Going to get him as a guest on here. I know he was wanting to do that. We haven't had him yet. Mr. Joseph, who I believe is at the final table of 25K Hard Rock, good friend of his, been on many times as a guest, and they kind of in the same camp. And I know he is for sure knows what to do with 24 blinds. You can see he's won a bracelet in the 100K event live. I think, again, 20 million lifetime earnings and 4 wins and 30 final tables. Very impressive. And he has played almost, close to 4 years of Sunday participating in this tournament. That is not total entries, that's appearances. So he is in there about a quarter of the time, cashing 6 million of his 14 million coming on GG from the GGMillion. So very, very competent, very understanding of this structure, final table, nuances to it. And tell me about Ponakovs. What do you think about his game?
Yeah, Ponakovs is a legend. He's one of the top players you'd think of when it comes to the high roller scene, whether it be live or online. He's got some massive scores, Jeff. Recently, 3rd place Triton 125K for 2.2 million this past May. And then last August, another 4th place at a Triton 250K for 2.54 million. So, despite the prize pool being a little bit less than that today, he'll bring that experience, and he'll be a force to be reckoned with out here today for sure.
Yeah, hailing from Latvia, pretty impressive. If you look at the Latvia all-time money list, he has 20 million. 2nd has 2.2, 3rd 2.2, 4th 850. Goes down the list. I'm pretty sure he actually may have more live tournament earnings than all of Latvia, the country combined, because he has 20 million, and then if you go down even to like 11th, right, they're at like 6 million total. So then it just drops significantly. Pretty sure he's got the whole country covered, which is something kind of wild. Don't know if you could say that about many other countries in poker and results. So pretty impressive stuff. See if he can get going here. Again, a little bit shorter, but plenty to work with. We'll go to our next player, Volodymyr Palamar, someone who has gotten 2 wins in the 80 appearances and 16 final tables. Also very impressive. About half of those earnings coming from GGMillions. Someone we've seen and online got a deep run here in 2022. 42 blinds, So that is a big difference. Does have a lot of chips to play with. And again, someone who knows how to close with 2 wins. And again, in terms of live poker and such, I don't know as much about his experience. I was looking at his Hen and Mobs. I'm not sure if we have it all covered there. I see in some online stuff, but someone I'd say that just sort of, it's kind of quiet. I wouldn't say he stands out as like notable plays or things that I've seen, but he just seems to be there and he wins. He can get it done when he gets to the end. He's got plenty of chips and plays very solid. Have you seen much of him, or is he one of the more unknowns for you?
Yeah, one of the more unknowns, Jeff, for sure for me, especially given a bit more live experience. But yeah, like you, I was looking him up, and I think it appears that most of his caches are online. So he's got 30 WSOP caches for over 250K, but all of those are online. But one thing that really impresses me about this player is that he's in the money 34% of the time for this tournament, having made 80 appearances, and 20% of the time he's at the final table, which is the most out of any of our players today. And that's so impressive. 1 out of 5 times he's entering this tournament, he's making the final table, which is so impressive. And clearly he's an online expert. So I really he might be the player that I'm most looking forward to seeing today, what he does, just because I'm not as familiar with him, and his statistics are very impressive.
Yeah, definitely more solid. And again, not short. He's in there with a chance to win, 42 blinds, sitting sort of in the middle of our final table list today. Let's go to our next player, Vaskaboinikau, who is someone who's just absolutely on fire. I feel like I see him here all the time. Also 11 million now in total live earnings, and a lot of those have come fairly recently. I think again, this was May, took down first place at the Triton main event for 125K, 4.7 million, and had over 5 million there, and then just got in the 200K November, just now fresh off that 1.5 million. So again, a lot of those results pretty crazy to get to 11 million, and a lot of that coming in the last half of this year, the last 6 months. So on a bit of a heater, 3.9 GG earnings and 0 wins though. Has not checked that off on his bucket list of things on 6 final tables, 73 appearances, and again, plenty of chips today, 50 clean big blinds on the dot, lot to play with, and he is pretty much, I'd say one of the players in the best form, just based off live. That's a lot of confidence. People know who he is, know he's dangerous, aggressive, and unpredictable. I think he has really good awareness. From what I remember on here, is he really seems to know what style to bring. He knows how he's perceived by other players, and he definitely, like, just when you think he's going to be super aggressive, he tailors it back or plays a little bit of a different style. So seems to have different gears, and very capable player. Any thoughts on this player?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Jeff, he could be one of the favorites today just based on his form. It's funny how poker works sometimes. You get on these runs, and he's definitely in one of those right now. He is second on the all-time Belarus money list, behind only the legend Nikita Kuznetsov. So that's a very impressive ranking already for him. So I think he has to be considered to be one of the favorites today, and I know he'll be hungry to try to get the win for the first time.
For sure. Yeah, again, 11 titles. Some players, I think everyone but we mentioned Zeiter, Vaskaboinikau, who we just mentioned, and Fabiano Kovalski, only 3 who have not won a title. We'll take a look at the next player, Bruno Volkmann, one of the Brazilians. Again, Brazil and Austria. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe there's been out of 100 shows or that I've done, 150 shows total that I've seen GGMillion, something like that. There's maybe been very rarely you won't find a Brazilian or an Austrian player flag at the table. And Bruno Volkmann making sure Brazil gets checked off there and on the podium to start. 2 wins, 198 appearances. I mean, that is a lot of tournaments, and you can see 23 final tables. So he's getting there, gets deep. He does seem to have chips when he comes there, so probably a lot of seconds, thirds, fourths, and really profitable. 4.4 million in earnings there for the GGMillions, and you can see in the money about a quarter of the time. So he's got a lot of experience, 2 wins, can definitely close, and one of the guys that also plays live poker, right? Plays the high rollers. He has over 5 million in earnings, and on the Brazil all-time money list sits second. So again, you're talking about not just the best players in the world online. A lot of these players here are in the top couple, or the best player in their country. And we're going to get a look at the hand from him, only behind Yuri, not to mention here, one of the most talented players out there at the moment. You can see here ace-9 off, 10K, 20K blind, top 3 stacks. We're going to get a look at one of the hands they played from Sunday. And here he goes, ace-9 off. Not a super strong hand. It is quite, close, right? 6-handed. So under the gun, 6 max, ace-9 off. Going to go ahead and open it up off of, what does he have? Exactly to, what, so 20K big blind. Yeah, so
41.
he's got Yeah, plenty of chips, does play, and got a Brazilian here on the button. A Brazilian who I'm not is familiar with. We see Volodymyr lurking there, and Enrico, a very tough player in the big blind, but he will open the ace-9 off. Seems all reasonable. Ponakovs there too, and we get the 8-8-4 2 club flops. So these are always fun. Hold them hard to make pairs. He's got the lead in the hand. Definitely a board where you got to give a little respect to the big blind. Could have some of that, but he is gonna decide what to do here, and he checks back. You in line with that?
Yeah, a lot of ace highs, I believe, should be checking back there. So I definitely like that with this particular hand. And 9 shows up on the turn. So not a card that necessarily will often hit Bruno. So we'll see. Enrico goes for the just over pot bet here, Enrico. So we'll see how Bruno proceeds with this. I would imagine he might just call. And yeah, wow, that's a very interesting river. Wet one, right? Ace. But also brings the 3rd club. So we'll see what Enrico does here. This is going to be an interesting spot for Bruno either way. As yeah, the ace appears to be a good card for him. Obviously making 2 pair, but the front door flush completes. So it's not an easy decision here if Enrico jams, which I imagine he does.
Wow, I mean, honestly, that card's not great for him, right? Because he doesn't put his opponent on 10s, I would say. So it's like if he had him beat, he was already good with the ace-9. So now when he calls there, I mean, the ace on the river, it's not, he loses the flushes, basically what changes there. So not the best card for him, but as it turned out, it was one of the perfect cards because his opponent had a combo, sort of had a blocker, one of the clubs, bet the overs in the gut shot, and a nicely executed hand from Bruno showing how check back flop, got his opponent to bluff, and then made the right call. So again, showing you that there's more than one way to play. You don't always have to auto c-bet. You don't have to just because you're the pre-flop raiser, you don't 100% c-bet. Found a way to get creative and get the max on that hand. And again, Bruno Volkmann knows how to win, knows how to close. Let's see how he will do. We're going to take a look too at our 2nd place player, also Brazilian, Fabiano Kovalski. You can see this man is not got a win. We mentioned one of 3 players today looking to add that GGMillion title to their resume, but pretty impressive in the money, 29% of the time, only on 28 appearances, and he has 3 final tables. So again, not a ton of play in the GGMillion, but enough, and he has 75 blinds today. That is a lot of chips, and he has a 3.4 million total earnings on GG. So someone that, again, a little less out of all these players appearance-wise, but pretty good stats so far, looking to get the win. What about Fabiano? Much experience with him?
He's a live player as well, and he's famous for that big-time hero call with ace-queen in his 4th place EPT Barcelona finish a couple of years ago in August, and that kind of was a highlight reel hand, and I believe got them down to the final table. So he's bringing the live experience as well as we go into another ace-9 here. It might even be almost the same suits as the last hand, which is pretty wild.
Yeah. It's also 6 max. It's a little deeper, 30K, 60K. He's in the big blind, not the under the gun, but yes, also ace-9 and also Brazilian, also similar suits, and very interesting that, again, these are kind of more fun. I think we get kings, aces. Those are fun hands. It's nice to see big cards, but these are hard to play. The ace-9s, the pocket 6s, like how do you play these tricky hands that aren't nutted, but you can't really just not play? Here we go to a button. Always interesting when it's your fellow countrymen there, where probably a lot of experience and know each other well. So Bruno on the button and ace-9, they're a little bit, they're deepish here, 60K big blind, and ace-9 off. I think has multiple options. Folding, definitely not one of those. So let's see if he's gonna just call or shoot it up. And I think likely these are tricky because these aren't like, these ace-9 offs don't play amazing, but also calling seems to make the most sense. I think raising would be a little bit out of line, but definitely part of the possibility. All right, ace 8-3, solid flop for ace-9, but again, you're sort of, you don't want to necessarily make you are losing to some hands. So he's going to start with the check, very dry board on this ace 8-3.
Yeah, I think we likely go into check call mode here. I like the pre-flop defend, especially against looking at the stack sizes, right? Bruno and Volodymyr are the 2 sort of other bigger stacks at the table. So in general, unless, you don't always want to get involved with those, obviously at a final table, but even earlier on, and now this 9 turn is chin for him. He's basically, if he didn't have the best hand already, he's now got the best hand almost every time. What we do know here is that none of these players are going broke because Bruno and Fabiano are are at our final table here. So
yes, this does have a cap for size. We know that Bruno and Fabiano actually ended up being second and third. So, you know, they this was again not at just before the final table, and I'm actually curious how crazy this pot could be considering they both have such big stacks. But there was play after this, as we see they both ended with, you know, 3 million and 2.1. At this point it's 2.3 and 1.4. So yeah, a bit of a not one of the best rivers there. At the same time, I think you discount a lot of flushes, probably going to continuation with flush draws. So like ace-9 still going to feel very comfortable here. Also queen 10 would make a straight, would also be a hand I would expect to be betting. So yeah, he can confidently value bet here pretty confidently. He does. 450, healthy bet.
Yeah, I think your analysis there is spot on, Jeff. Any flush draws or turn straight draws would likely continue barreling, so he can feel excellent here about his ace-9, that it's very solid, and ends up getting the fold.
Yeah, so we didn't get to see what Bruno had, but again, nice hand, nice bet. Puts him at 2.9, which is right about where he finished. Looks like Bruno added to his stack pretty significantly, finished with 2.1. So that was, you know, 1.4 million from that point. So he did 50% increase his stack amongst this point to the end, to the final table. But again, seeing him play ace-9, that hand pretty straightforward, right? Made a nice hand and did go for value. So we'll take a look at our first place stack, which is the Kravchenko, someone who I have seen more recently. You can see again 11 appearances only. He does have a win. I remember him very recently. We can see that in October. So yeah, almost, I mean, a month ago that he did get the win here, and I remember him very well. And he can see GGMillion's a big portion of those GG earnings, with 1.9 of the total, with almost 5 of the 1.9 coming from the GGMillions. And again, the chip leader today with 82 blinds, has a 7 blind lead on second, and then it drops all the way down to 52 blinds for third. So a very good position to be in right now for the Kravchenko, and someone that are you familiar with him at all live? I'm not as familiar with his live results, and I was looking at it.
I couldn't find too many live results, Jeff, but as you mentioned, he picked a very good tournament to win, as he hit a huge $1.48 million score just a couple weeks ago here at this GGMillions. And you know, the record is pretty remarkable. He's come to one final table and won it. You know, so he's got a 100% record when he makes the final table, and he's in position to do that again today. So yeah, you know, with only 11 appearances, one huge win, now, you know, he's looking to build a serious resume. So this is it's already a very impressive record, having only entered the tournament a handful of times. But we'll see how he uses his chip lead today.
Yeah, and again, assumptions are dangerous, but considering he has 11 appearances, brick, no cashes in the other, he's 1-1, came in with a nice stack, and here he's chip leader. I think it's safe to say he likes big pots, plays big boy poker, and goes for max pressure. Again, assumptions, but based on those stat lines, that looks like what he likes to do. Is when he comes in, he likes to win, come with the chips, or be out. So let's take a look at one of his hands and how he is now your chip leader. Again, this is from Sunday. The stats you'll see on the side of the screen will be the stats from Sunday's tournaments, not the lifetime of their GGMillions or their lifetime GG stat. That is just from the Sunday action, which is pretty cool to see how this, you know, how they're perceived by the players, and those are the stats that everyone's going off of, and you'll see those fan out on the side here, is which will be at our final table when players are in hands. Here we go, 10-7 suited, okay, on the button, likely first in, I would imagine, not going to be playing with action before. So 10-7 suited on the button, with when folded to, seems pretty straightforward. Although there is a kind of a short stack, right? Maybe one reason you might not want to be opening is you get jammed on by that short stack in the small blind. I guess there's a chance Ponakovs plays and he gets involved, but this is not wouldn't normally be conventional. Let's see. There it goes. Okay, button fold, 10-7 suited, got a lot of chips, gonna open for a min raise, seems to check out as of now. How many blinds is that for the, I mean, if the short stack shoves, what is that, 8? He's got like 280.
Yeah, big blind is 35, so he's under 10. He's like around in a 7 big blind stack there. Yeah, right, you would put him in a weird spot if he had to call off, but with that chip lead, I think opening the 10-7 suited is reasonable as well.
And these players sharing a flag, I believe. Is that correct? They are.
Yep, Belarus, I think. Yeah.
Belarus. So again, another player from that region, tough player, and he is going to get a turn that does provide him a gut shot, and he did pot control here. Let's see now if he decides time to start betting. Okay, so goes for a big bet. Yeah, this is just, you know, showing again, there's different ways to win pots. It doesn't always need to be c-bet. Also super important to be tailoring your sizing to what result you're trying to get and what you believe you are targeting, right? He goes for not a quarter size, he goes big bet, forces a fold, probably, you know, obviously 10 high there. It's a great result. Pretty much any hand in the big blind, majority of hands are going to have him beat at that moment. So again, not afraid to put chips in, not afraid to make moves and battle. And again, a lot of history, I would imagine, between his fellow countrymen. They know each other, they've seen each other in these high buy-in smaller fields, and then also again live, both players are from the same area and again playing the highest stakes in the world. So pretty cool. Got to see some interesting hands, and we get to see a little bit of a look at how this final table shook out. Now let's go look at the odds. This is always fun, you know. You can get value down at the bottom. You see a 30-1 off the 10 blinds, and then 4.64 to 1 is your chip leader. Basically first and second have about the same price, although a 7 blind difference, and then third drops down. Bruno Volkmann, his price is, you know, for it's a big difference, but a little more experience, and has won twice. So I'll let you start. Why don't you pick? We'll knock this off. 100 units, audience at home, you know the deal. Play along yourself. Maybe take 100 units, see how you would fare, and go ahead, make your first pick out of your 100. You get 3 picks.
Thanks, Jeff. Very kind of you to let me begin here.
It's for a dinner, man. This is not for nothing. This is serious. So this, yeah, I'll do it there. You're the guest.
I'm gonna go with my boy Fabiano Kovalski here. I'm gonna go with 40 units on him. He's not afraid to stick it in. You know, I love that hero call. That's one of my favorite hands of all time live. So I'm gonna go with him with the live experience. You know, Brazilians always tough. So he's again looking for his first win, and I think today might be the day where he gets it.
I love it. Well, you know, my wife's Brazilian, got 2 half Brazilian sons. I love Brazil. Vamos, gente. I'm going to take Bruno. I can't risk you picking him up next. So I'm going to go Bruno. I'm going to put on 40 units there as well, trying to double up at least out of my 100. So 40 for Bruno. Your pick.
I'm going to go with Daniel Kravchenko, the man who's looking for a 100% win rate at the final table. I'll go 30 on him to see if he can keep his recent heater going.
All right, I'm gonna go 40 Ponakovs. Just guys, just tough, dangerous, biggest results, and just I think always in striking distance, especially with the stack today. Plenty of chips. 40 there as well for Ponakovs.
I'm gonna go with Palamar. I'm gonna go with 20 on him. Just really impressed by his statistics. Obviously an online specialist, so let's see if he can continue his form today.
All right, and I'm gonna go with my final 20 and a tough name to pronounce, but I'm gonna go with my man from Belarus as well. I have a hard time with it. It's not an easy one. MV right there, we'll call him Vaskaboinikau, who is a 7.48 to 1 on my 20. That is going to be my final pick, and that is going to be again one of those win. If not, it'll be a draw, but we'll have a dinner wager. We go to dinner anyway. We can go Dutch, or if one of us win those 3, we'll treat. It'll be, now you going to Bahamas, the 25, the 50K, the 50 mil, 25K. Are you going to be in West Coast? There's tournaments all over the world coming up here. Are you going to get out to the Bahamas?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it for a portion of it this year. So being there a couple years ago, first time there playing, which was really great. Love it. It's beautiful facilities there. I was actually there a couple months ago on vacation just for a week, which was special. So I'm guessing you're heading down there, Jeff?
Yep, gonna be there. Can't miss. I'm gonna be. It's not far from me there, from Miami, so I'm gonna be going down. Excited. I've had been in Bahamas many years. Atlantis, a lot of great memories from back in the day. Obviously Bahamar there too, but now back at the Atlantis, the big events. This is gonna be fun, and I will be definitely there. Please say hello if you see me. Gonna be having some vlogs and having fun and playing a variety of events there. So if you are going to the Bahamas, again, definitely highly recommend it, whether you're playing or not. It's a really cool atmosphere. So many players are going to be there. 50 mil with the 25K, kind of crazy. 2,000 people, 2,000 seats guaranteed. And we are going to be, again, playing to a winner today. This is from Sunday, every Tuesday. Biggest names, biggest prizes, the GGMillions. We're going to take a very short break, and then we will be playing to a winner. We're going to get to see the seat shuffle, which is always fun. From the shortest stack to the biggest, they get to pick where they want to sit. Obviously, the biggest stack gets to pick last, generally to the You want to be right on the left of the bigger stacks. Sometimes there's variations or giving a little respect to different players maybe and how the table can lay out, but that'll be fun to watch. And we will be seeing you guys and girls back after 5 minutes. Please hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, and again, stay tuned for the giveaways. $100 and $50. You got to hit the thumbs up, and if you're enjoying the stream, hit the like. And of course, on my Twitter, I'll put out a tweet. We'll have a $50 cash for you there very shortly, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Thank you to Sebastian for being here, and we will see you guys in 5 minutes.
In case you haven't noticed, we're into breaking records at the World Series of Poker. Bigger and better is just how we roll. We did it this summer, as you saw, with the main event. Speaking of the main event, the WSOP just had a super idea for this year's WSOP Paradise in the Bahamas. For the first time ever, WSOP will host the super main event, a $25,000 buy-in with the biggest guarantee in the history of poker. Wait, is that number right? 50 million? What? 50 million? You guys are nuts, for real. Huge prize pools, massive water slides, fun for the whole family, and the chance to hunt bracelets with the beautiful backdrop of the Bahamas beaches just a few sandy footsteps away from the poker room. 15 bracelets will be on the line with buy-ins ranging from $2,500 up to $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, a $1 million buy-in. The WSOP has partnered with the Triton Millions to bring the largest poker tournament in WSOP history back home. So what are you waiting for? Come make history with us again at WSOP Paradise.
We are back. It's time. It is into after the pregame. We are getting to the good stuff. We're going to get to see, again, the stack size, the look of the players. Again, 30 minutes every show pregame. Get to go through those players, get to go through some of the hands from last week. But today, we're going to a winner. No deal making. If you're first time here, there is no deal making in the GGMillion specifically. And again, very exciting. Always a big battle for the final there. That you can see the difference between first and second alone, big jump, and again, no deal making. So very, very exciting. 4 blinds plus for ninth all the way up to the top, and it's a little too close to call. I'd say 10 blinds is short, but after you jump from the 9th to the 8th, it starts getting where anyone's game. 10 blinds, of course, can get moving as well. You saw that price 30-1. A lot to ask. Kravchenko, a little less experienced, but likes to go for the win. Has the worst odds in terms of value because you get the least if he wins, but he has got the chips and he is the best price. And here we go. The seat shuffling. Always exciting. This is just kind of fun. The earlier stacks, the shorter stacks don't have so much to do. They pick their seat. People choose around them. And again, let's see if Kravchenko will go directly to the left of Fabiano. But, again, I think he'd do it with 75 versus 52, right? But Bruno and some of these guys, it's just too big a difference. I think you want to be directly on the left. But we don't always see that be the case. So let's kind of look here and let me know if anything surprises you as we get down towards the bigger stacks. As it moves, it's a little more strategy. Anything other than you would go for just the biggest stack? What do you look at when you do this?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these players are familiar with each other and their play style. So if they know that somebody might be, more aggressive given their amount of chips or more passive, they can also adjust based on that too, Jeff, right? You don't really want to be, to the right of somebody who's going to be, you feel is going to be hyper aggressive. So that can factor in their decision making as well. These guys play with each other all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I have seen some surprising picks in some of the spots where people do stuff where it's not exactly what you think is going to happen. So as we get to the bigger stacks here, a little bit of predicting where you might get yourself where the chip leader will go. And then, that's a little bit of strategy here as Fabiano goes there. And here's our chip leader. Here's the decision. Does he go directly to the left of Fabiano, or does he want to do something a little bit differently? And he is going to elect to do that. As again, big difference between second and third, almost 23 big blind difference. So I think there's just too big a gap to sort of do anything else but that. But that is it. Table is set. Let's go shuffle up and deal. We are going to play to a winner, and let's see who has, I believe, Barak there on the button as we play the 20K, 40K level. We are underway, and always exciting, and always, I think we had a record like 9 or 10 aces dealt at one final table. There was 4 to 1 player today. We can see the chess clocks. This is fast forward. Let's see, 8 minutes. I don't know did everyone start with only 10 minutes maybe? Is that what happened? Is there anyone over 10 minutes? I see 10:07, but some of the clocks, a lot of them are down to like 8 minutes already. Notice that. I'm actually trying to see why. I thought they start with 15, but I think maybe this was from like, I'm going to get clarification on that. I'm a little confused. It looks a little lower than normal, some of the players.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I think typically they do a ratio based on how much time they have in their bank, but I think you're right. Like I've seen 15 a lot of the time. So maybe all these guys just happen to take a ton of time, Jeff, or they switched it to 10 instead of 15. So
yeah, we're going to get clarification on that, but that is, I think it could have been 10. The only reason I think it might not be 10 though is because that Vaskaboinikau has over 10, right? 10:07, and then I think this is the start of final. So I gotta check on that. If anyone has any idea on that, I'm asking myself. But that is, again, a chess clock. If that hits 0, you get 5 seconds to act on your hand per street. As that's a disadvantage, and we definitely see that does come down to play. Sometimes we've even seen heads up where both players have that chess clock going, which makes it kind of extra fun. Ace queen off under the gun. Ponakovs going to play 9-handed ace queen off. A little bit scary, right? It's a good hand, but there's a lot of players to act, and you can get in some weird spots as we see 2 9s there for the chip leader. Be interesting if he wants to go ahead and shoot this up or just see a flop and play some poker with the chip lead, and knowing Ponakovs is dangerous. And again, there is some stacks similar though in a very short stack. So he's just going to go ahead and rip it in, and whoa, we could see a little shift of movement here. Chips could be either a knockout or a move on. And Ponakovs, who is someone that is not afraid, but also understands ICM, has got a very tough decision. I'm curious here on this one.
Yeah, Jeff, I actually really like this play from Kravchenko, who we mentioned is not afraid to go for the win. He definitely notices Kuznetsov there with the short stack, and Ponakovs does not necessarily want to go out right away. So he uses those nines as as a jam and puts Ponakovs in a very difficult spot. Whereas had the chip distribution been a little bit different, I think a lot of times we'd see just a call there.
Yeah, it's also so you start looking at what does he think Ponakovs is he going to go exactly GTO? Is he going to go a little wider? And again, ace queen, one of those hands that actually does go in as a very standard open and a pretty strong hand, but he gets a great result to get the min raise and then pick up the chips, keeps his big blind and doesn't have to put a actual race into motion. So nice result there. And again, as we said, can't make too many assumptions, but in a look into his game, I think it's power, it's persistence, and he does take when it's close. He likes to put the pressure on and does decide to go all to a big bet there. And here we go, ace four off actually outflops tens, but it's kind of a tricky board, right? You realize you can be in some really bad shape. He happens to be in really good shape. Two tens does block king 10 and has a 10 or a king as it would stand and does bet and probably going to just take a free one there now on the turn as he does. And ace four as a winner if he can get the showdown.
Yeah, maybe a small bet here might be incoming from Volodymyr. The tens likely, I would imagine, are, depending upon the sizing, probably going to go into the muck, but you never know. These players love to get creative, and we could, that's what I figured, but didn't think we were seeing a call there.
Yeah, I guess, you beat 9-10, but when you have two tens, that now becomes not very appealing. It's sort of like just would a random king X bet that size and take a stab? Probably not, but that's really the only possible way you win the hand, and he didn't think for that price it was even worth a look. So nice fold. Frustrating when you have tens and that's the board and then don't get to showdown even, but
yeah, and the queen on the turn as well wasn't a very helpful card for him. Typically not going to always be c-betting a queen there, second pair. So it's a tough one if he wanted to bluff to continue bluffing, I think. So he just decided to shut it down.
Yeah, nice, interesting, fast start there. I want to welcome everyone. Let us know where you are watching from in the world. We are on different coasts here. We are gonna do the giveaways at the end of the show. And again, the tweet, I did get it out. Someone asked in the chat. I saw that. We got it. I'll put the link in there. It's gonna be $50 available for you, and you guys can guess the winner. As always, I didn't put it in the wording, but that's just our secret here. If you are watching, $50 cash, hit the retweet and your guess for who wins. Doesn't have to be right, just got to put a guess in and then you're eligible, and I will pick that at the end of the show. Who's your guess? Who do you think? You made your bets, but who do you actually like based on now where the seats are, what's going on? Do you have a prediction who you think actually is going to take it down?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Kovalski. Haven't seen too much from him early on just because he hasn't had too many hands. But I like, it is tough with Kravchenko on his left, however. So I got him on my team also. One of those two, I definitely like to take him down, but I'll stick with Kovalski as my pick, despite having the chip leader to his left. What about you, Jeff?
Man, I'm going to go with, I really want to bet Ponakovs today, but I'm going to go with Bruno Volkmann. I think the stack still 2 million playing a play with. I also kind of like his position on a very tough player there, direct left. Barak as well, sort of there, short stack on his direct left. And I just think he's got a pretty good seat. And I like, that's just sort of stands out for me today that he's going to get it done as we see the chip leader win with ace 9. Best hand holds up here, and our first real premium of the day, ace king suited tier 1. And again, Diego maybe, I wonder if the open there's any way that still probably going to be enough. I think Diego's got to be happy as one of the short stacks against the chip leader who expects to be very wide to shove here. I just don't think there's really any other play, and then he's going to run into ace king suited for kind of a fake flip, I guess. I think that's probably how it will play out. I don't really see another way.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Jeff. Although we still got to keep in mind, yeah, there it is. You're right. So Kuznetsov could be in a position here to to ladder up to 8th, depending upon how this goes here. Just an unfortunate spot for Diego. No, it's just so annoying, Jeff, when they kind of wake up with it behind you, right? It's one thing if the chip leader has a hand, but it's so unlikely that with so few players to act, somebody's going to wake up with a monster that they can call a 3-bet with or 4-bet jam, right? So this is one of those situations, and this is kind of best case scenario for Diego here to be all in against a flip.
Yeah, to see that chips get put in. Now he's got to fade the river, ace or king, 6 outs, about 14%. River is not any of that. That is a 3 across the 3 hearts there. You can see that is going to be safe, and that is a big pot. So 6 of hearts, brick, 9s. Diego going to take it down. The Austria flag in effect today. There it is. 2 Brazilians, 1 Austrian. I say it every week. It's just almost automatic. It's like they have like a reserved sanctioned seats at this final table. This is a nice start for one of our short stacks. Diego was an 8th and also one of the only players without a title back into a reasonable position now, 1.5 million, and has a queen king when folded to. Things kind of working for him right now. Looks like he's going to maybe even just go ahead and get this through. So good start for Diego, short stack.
Yeah, it's funny. I love the shorter stacks there, having a little fun, throwing out the bad beat and running cold emojis, Jeff, because they know they would have loved to ladder up there. But, I love seeing these guys having some fun, right? They're all kind of regulars here. They play this tournament all the time. They've all been here at this stage. So, they can have a little fun, joke around with each other despite playing for, hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? They're still having a good time. So I loved it. It's always fun to try and catch the little things they throw into the chat or the emojis and things like that to show that they're,
Yeah. No, there's a lot of good sportsmanship, a lot of good games, a lot of respect, I think, amongst the players here. And they do realize this is the biggest, the brightest, this Champions League of online poker, the 10K every week battling with each other, and realize there's big swings and, a lot of courage, and a lot of, this isn't given away here. These guys are playing tough, and there's a lot of strong players, kind of like a prestige. Who's the top each week, who's playing the best, who's consistently showing the results. And again, here we go. We got ourselves a interesting flop here. Ace 8 is got a key card, the ace of diamond, and Diego with ace king, no diamond, going to come betting. And definitely a lot of ways Kovalski could figure out to win this pot. That's for sure.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. So I don't know. I have a feeling he might come here with a check raise, given that he's, bigger stack. And there it is. I really like this play from Kovalski, putting pressure on other hands with, the best card possible to have in his hand, especially with a stack like Diego's, who's not really incentivized to, go out at this point with multiple shorter stacks around him. I think this play is excellent, and it's going to work.
Yeah, really nicely done. I mean, that's textbook. Again, key card, big stack, puts pressure, gets a good result, better hand. Again, ace king with no pair there, though, doesn't have a very, not like a crazy decision, right? He really just kind of gets handcuffed there, takes a shot, and gets to fold. So nice pot. Kovalski picks it up, and another nice hand. This actually could be an exit for our shortest stack. Ace 10 here, obviously, with this stack. You're pretty happy to shove here. You're not going to love that Kravchenko has ace king, wakes up, and is going to be, I think, pretty thrilled, of course, to put this in. He did leave 742 behind, I guess, just in case there's an all in from the 1 and 2 stack. Unlikely, but he does go ahead, put it in. Hits the RNG in his control. This is important. This is a 10 or some diamonds or a Broadway spades available. 10 in the window, 10-7 deuce. 6 now is a good shot. He's using the huff and puffing Daniel Negreanu emojis there, and that is a get there. Ace 10, monster start for the short stack. No one else loving that at the final table. Nice to at least secure a pay jump, get down to 8. Now he's got 500, still short, but in it and annoying. And again, Kravchenko can afford it. Everyone else not loving it.
That's right. And Barak showed the 10-6 off there. So he actually only had 2 kind of clean outs right away with that ace 10. Super unlucky for Kuznetsov for the big blind to wake up with an ace king there, right? That's the one thing, right? When you shove, a strong hand like ace 10, first of all, they have to wake up with something. And then second of all, they have to hold. So it's actually very unlikely. And, this is one of the times where he sucked out. And now, again, it makes for a more interesting sort of dynamic here.
Yeah, big swing. These are all final tables are interesting. We've had times where it starts super fast. We get 3-4 knockouts in the first 20 minutes, and then it's very slow because things are congested. We've also had times where it doesn't, no one knocks out for an hour or 45 minutes, and then you get like 3 or 4 in a row. So again, it's all about big blinds. The blinds go up every 20. Upper left of your screen, you get to see that breakdown of hands and what's happening in the tournament, and you get to kind of get the tempo for it. And there's Kravchenko, man, ace deuce off, not a mandatory 3-bet cutoff button versus the second stack, as we said. Just kind of starting to realize this guy, how he plays, his style. He's not passing up spots. If it's on the chart, if it's got 8%, if it's got 12%, take it. He's going for it most of the time, and he is chipping up to 3.5 million. Again, tough seat for Kovalski. That's the one thing I think in the way. I like your pick. He's got chips, tough player, but that's not the best seat to have.
Definitely, and it just shows you the power of that seat selection, how the chip leader has such an enormous advantage. Just look at that, making the second to chips fold king queen in the cutoff, which is such a strong hand, right? But they're just not incentivized. Kovalski not incentivized to get in pots with Kravchenko out of position, so he's gonna kind of smartly defer to him, and Kravchenko is putting his finger on the right button so far. We see Wisbrod defend with the queen 7 suited, the old computer hand suited version, but it outflops the ace queen of Kovalski, who has a decent hand here. Continue with some backdoor straight draw, flush draw, and 2 overs.
Yeah, this is where you get to see a lot of the class. I mean, sometimes the board, how the runouts are, you just can't hang on. But I think Barak, just someone who's so tough, understands the situation, understands what turns he wants to see, realizes he is beating a lot of hands, and he does call there. And now, I mean, again, there's cards to barrel king, the 10, additional equity. Of course, a queen or an ace would be nice. A diamond's great. But now, do you barrel here? Do you not? Are you going to remove a player from a 7 or a 3? Are you going to have to shell? And I think a little bit of respect to Barak here, decides to slow down and just thinks that, hey, I'm probably not going to get him off a jack, a 7. This is actually interesting now because there are hands such as 8, 9, 9, 10, hearts. He doesn't have a heart that miss. And Barak might want to come with some sort of blocker, some sort of bet here, because there are hands that miss. And at the same time, a jack is unlikely for Kovalski. So I like that small bet. And this is not like a trivial call or fold. I think this is this is close. Ace queen does beat some hands. There's other hands in there that, again, it's very close. And I like the sizing. Great bet from Barak.
I think it's great too. And this is one of the reasons I think Kovalski checked back the turn, is because he still does have some showdown value with the ace queen. Now, we'll decide. We'll see what he decides, whether excellent fold. Maybe he feels that Barak might bet a little bit more if he did have a misdraw. Sort of the bluffs tend to go sometimes a little bit bigger. So that's really nice recognition there of the value, and decided to lay it down despite getting a really good price.
Yep. Very, very cool hand. Fun to see players make good decisions. I mean, that was definitely not a guaranteed muck. He did muck. He was correct. And I think that's one of the things I'm super impressed constantly here is how the players just get it right. There's so much, it's like great bets, great calls, great folds, great. It's just like great plays. And then who's going to make to the next level, who's taking it to the next step. And he does got some words there. I don't know. I can't make that out, but there's some chatting going on. His 5's going to open up, and ace king suited. I mean, powerful hand here. Powerful hand. 700 watching right now. We just got going here. I want you to get a chance at the retweet $50 in cash. Jeff Gross Poker. I just put that out. And of course, later in the show, we will have a bunch of opportunity for you. A $50 and $100 ticket to be up for grabs. So 3 giveaways today on the show. And I, again, appreciate everyone being here. Thank you for watching. Love to know where you're watching from. And some first-time viewers, as well as a lot of repeat and consistent viewers here. We always do have a good time, and this is, again, a very stacked final table, a treat to watch. And Sebastian, it's Crema or Crema? I'm saying Crema. Is that correct?
Yeah, Crema. You got that right.
Beautiful. What's your background? Where are you from? Because I was someone I actually don't know as well, came highly recommended, and I was talking to Brett. I know Miss Botez you're close with, and you've done some streaming as well, some of her cash streams. And again, Pokemon, I got to ask you about in a little bit, but tell me about your sort of background. How'd you get into poker?
Yeah, so I was one of those guys who kind of started playing at a young age, and was always hosting tournaments at my parents' house in my teens and high school. And throughout kind of my academic career, I kind of went through different phases about, playing the game a little bit more. I actually got back into the game quite a bit while I was at law school at University of Alberta in Edmonton. I'm originally from Vancouver, Canada, where I am right now,
Okay.
and started taking it more seriously, doing some tournaments, and yeah, been doing the sort of live tournament grind for the last 3 years. Um, Much like yourself, now I've been dabbling a little bit into the PLO cash side of things. So over the last sort of 6 months, been doing a little bit more of that too. But primarily the live tournament grind has been my thing. So I'm always kind of looking for circuit events down in Vegas quite a bit, in different spots in the U.S., Florida, and everything. So just got back from 2 months in Vegas grinding there, which was cool. And looking to probably head out again soon in the next week or two.
Very nice. Yeah, it's a popular poker hub. Some great streamers and players out of that area, and very is poker popular right now? How's it in the moment there in that part of the world?
Yeah, definitely. Vancouver's got a very strong poker community. Unfortunately, we don't really get live tournament series coming to town, which kind of sucks. So I've got to travel, sometimes go to Calgary, which is the next province over in Alberta. Obviously, Playground in Montreal is great, but that's kind of on the other side of the country for me. So we've got kind of local tournaments and cash games and stuff here, which I do a little bit while I'm here. Obviously, fire a little bit on GG online as well. But primarily for me, since I kind of seek out the live tournaments, I do need to travel. So always nice to see familiar faces from Vancouver, a lot of times in Vegas and all these different spots I go. So we got a strong community up here for sure.
Very nice. And there's a look at the stats again, fanned out from the percentage you see are from the tournament on Sunday alone in the GGMillion. So that's what stats you're looking at. And you can see their lifetime GGMillion earnings there. That's pretty cool how GG does put those graphics out. And again, going to be some new season coming up on GGMillion and some new features and audience engagement. We got a lot of cool stuff planned for you. That's going to be coming up in January, as we have already seen some nice adjustments and enhancements. We're seeing some action. Players are coming in there, shooting it up. I mean, again, pretty standard here with 10's going to go all in with that stack, but there's been some 3-bets. The Kravchenko's made a couple light ones, and you can see Barak had to fold his king 9 suited there reluctantly, but was against king. So very much so behind there as running hot. I'd say so. Off the short stack up to 720, got the get there, and now a little bit of a parlay situation, kind of tied with Barak as the shortest, but a little bit of life from our 9th place stack. So plenty to play with right now.
Yeah, we'll see. A couple hands ago, Jeff, when Kovalski opened with the 5s, Kravchenko 3-bet in from early position with the ace king. Now, obviously that was kind of a standard spot there, and Kovalski, had to release the 5s. But we'll see if that dynamic continues. If Kovalski feels that Kravchenko was kind of just constantly attacking him based on position, when he decides to maybe fight back, or how that dynamic plays into these different things. So that's one of the super interesting things about these final tables, is that there's kind of a game within the game going on, and then players are leveling themselves, and we'll see how that sort of dynamic plays out as well.
Yeah, 2 6s here. Not a mandatory open off this stack depth. Not every player is going to take this 9-handed at a final table. Again, a little bit of an insight into his game and what he's capable of, and going post flop, not being afraid. Going to get the 7-8 deuce. And this is why it's a tough hand to play. Your opponent's going to have some pairs that he flats that beat you. He's also going to have some broadways or suited type hands like this that might not, this is no backdoor flush draw. This is actually, again, not a below average flop for Kovalski here. So he might just get out of the way. All right. Good result for 6s.
And I love the players just showing random cards there again, having some fun. Those weren't even relevant cards at all, really, to the board. So they're just having a blast here. I love to see it, man.
Yeah, this is a good, very high energy, very, very upbeat final table. And as we usually see, good sportsmanship, people saying good game, and sort of respecting the other players here. I think that's the case in general. It's sort of, again, higher buy-in, smaller field. Most players know each other and battle each weekend. There is a respect. Of course, everyone wants to win and do well. There's another Greg goes all in emoji. The man is in there. He's rocking his glasses and showing some power. No premium dealt here. 3-4 suited. How wide does Kravchenko go? Okay, 3-4 suited. That's spice. That's not on the charts. That's not chip leader guaranteed need to open that, but he does do that and does pick it up. sevens for the short stack. Tricky one, very tricky. Does fold, can't blame him there. And look at that, jacks were behind. He would have woke up into that.
Yeah, and just showing how quick Kuznetsov folded there. These guys are so comfortable with what often could be seen as sort of a middling hand with a tough decision. As you mentioned, he knew right away he was pitching those sevens under the gun for 12, and it saved him chips for sure in this situation.
That is a pickup. Nice fold. I mean, sevens, you start getting nines, right? Don't know if you can get rid of it, but it's sevens. You can confidently get away from that. Just a lot of people behind, not the play, and a good way so far. The short stack sort of navigating. Of course, got lucky. The ace 10, ace king could have been out right away, but again, had to shove and got unlucky. Excuse me, unlucky and then lucky at the same hand, which is part of it. Got to have a little bit of that. See if he can spin it up here. Ace 9. This starts getting close where Barak gonna call and jack 10 gonna outflop ace 9.
Yeah, definitely a decision there for Kuznetsov whether to call or shove. It was also, likely a decision whether Barak wanted to open there from the cutoff with the jack 10. Oh, given the stack depth and given that, Kuznetsov could be, he has a shoving stack behind. So took the passive approach here with the ace 9, which, is fair, and got outflopped. Unlucky, but I think I like both plays there.
Yeah, could consider shoving. Also, Barak from a little deeper position open, kind of give him a little respect. I mean, he is also one of the short stacks. Maybe opening risk premium wider could be lighter. And, one option, I think that would be curious to see what players maybe off that stack size would consider shoving. I can't blame them for just calling there. That is the risk, though. You're going to get outflopped or outplayed sometimes. And, if you do flop the ace, it's tough, right? You just could be dominated, but don't really have a stack to 3-bet fold off of either. So it's tricky hand. Those are the ones to look at, though. I think that's the thing, the audience. You don't need to look at your ace queen to jacks flip. What happens? You want to look at spots like that, like where it's close, you're not sure, and try to get a feel for why the players are doing that. Talk to some of your players and friends that are experienced or want to get an idea on how they approach those things. And here we go. 8's going to make the move, and this is tough. 7's just pipped, and does he want to commit 450 more? He would still have 800 if he calls and loses. He's flipping, which is good if it is the case. It happens to be not the time, and now he's a 4-1. So then he starts thinking, all right, if I'm 4-1 behind, do I want to take that shot for $1 million? I'll have 1.8, 1.9 if I win the flip or get there. Do I want to flip even? And these are all the considerations, and it's very close, and he is really considering.
Yeah, I think 7's when you begin to break it down, Jeff. I likely lean towards a fold. Obviously,
Yeah.
Okay, he does find it, which is awesome. Just because you got to ask yourself, is he really doing this with 6s and below? And the answer is, probably not. So a lot of the times you're flipping at best. And when it's those situations where you're calling to hope to be flipping at best, a lot of times it's just better to throw it into the muck. Chips are so valuable to preserve at these final tables, and I really like the fold there from Vaskaboinikau.
Completely agree. Absolutely. Again, a lot of great decisions so far. And another pickup. Volodymyr, again, a guy we talked about, kind of not as, I would say, splashy, flashy, just kind of gets it done. Solid, great results, great percentage of final tables. And, someone I can even say after all the times commentating, does not a lot of like standout stuff, just kind of really good, solid play. Doesn't get himself into many difficult situations, finds key spots to pick up pots, and then kind of quietly does his thing. So 1.7 million, and again, holding decent so far today as he is in the middle of the pack. And here we go, king 9 off, just a little spice, just a little random, 3x clean button, ace 2 suited. Bruno, definitely a guy capable, could stuff it, could play, but do you really want to risk it? There's short stacks, you got 1.5, this guy's up to no good sometimes, but do you just say, you know what, sometimes I just go for it? I don't know. Ann Arbor, Michigan, shout out to A2. The Wolverines beating Ohio State 21-point underdogs. That was pretty insane this last weekend. And I don't know, maybe he's a Michigan fan. Maybe he feels it, feels the energy. Oh, hello. Just a little click, just a little little temperature check. Little temperature check out there. 4.4 million, showing him, saying, hey man, I've been here before. I'm not afraid. Kravchenko, Kravchenko also not a guy you got to be worried. That's the thing. You don't just get to like, oh, okay, he's bluffing or he's light here. Like you got to understand he could re-come with the sauce again. So that's one of the risks here of opening up. But no, Kravchenko does concede. Nice play by our friend from Brazil, Bruno. I said it. That was my pick. I think actually may win today. And he is off to 2 million. I think it's where he started. And aces, is that even fair? And Diego might have a problem here.
There's fives in the mix as well.
Why poker's so beautiful, you know? It's like you just, of course, like how could this guy have aces? Like, all right, I think nines are the best hand. Is 30 too much to shove? Probably, but then you're like, oh, this guy's just opening everything. He's in the cutoff. I have nines. Do I want to get outplayed? Maybe you just kind of make a mistake or, go for it. Not necessarily a mistake, but step into it, I should say, as this is obviously a bit of a cooler. And Volodymyr also at fives, something considering to get involved. I don't think. Okay, so he's going to call. And this actually makes it more enticing for Diego to squeeze and not go multi-way, right? What about if you get like Jack Queen in there suited? All of a sudden you have ace four off open. Jack Queen suited nines is very hard to win without hitting a nine. So this could open up a possibility to make a mistake. He doesn't though, as it turns out. No one makes a set out of the three pairs, and aces are still good at the moment.
Yeah, nicely done by Diego there. In this instance, he obviously avoids disaster against the aces. As you mentioned, the fives flatting makes it a little bit more enticing for him to squeeze. The problem with hands like nines, eights, tens is if you get four bet, you're just in no man's land and you kind of have to luck, which sucks. So whereas they can play decent on some flops here. So I do like the complete with the nines, given there's a couple shorter stacks too, and Diego's in no hurry here. And he does turn a flush draw with the nine, so he's got additional equity here. We'll see what Kravchenko decides to do on the turn here. Pretty interesting.
I like a bet. I think this is still a 2-street hand. It's a big blind call. He's gonna have a queen X, possibly 8X. He could have some like jack. There's hands he has, and that you're not gonna be able to value bet many rivers. So I really like this bet. And then look, if your opponent has like, again, he's in the big blind, maybe he has a 9-7 suited or whatever, Jack 8. Jack 7 suited, he's not going to be able to raise you, and he's not going to be able to value bet the river. So I like this, get to freeze it, and he's going to actually make a great bet and get absolutely wham-boozled. That is a ridiculous river card. And actually, Diego, he's, again, 2-street hand. He's not going to bet this river, but I can't imagine at the same time what a river card. What a nasty run out. And Kravchenko now, I mean, there's just really nothing else can do. That's a pretty crazy. And I guess he does have the hearts too, right? It's not insane, but just to hit the actual offsuit 9 is pretty special for Diego.
Yeah, that was a wild card. It's, he's got to be kicking himself a little bit, I guess, obviously checking and is there as a standard play to play and flow, but good, pretty impressive awareness there by Kravchenko, given his image, right? Like he could be targeting, he could have done a small value bet there targeting, a queen, but he kind of sniffed it out and he was very disciplined to check back those aces despite given his, hyper aggressive image so far.
And this is going to work out well for Barak because Diego, whether he calls or somehow 3 bets, and he does 3 bet, and Barak is going to he's going to get to jam $1 million, and he's going to be dominated and actually put Diego where the math starts getting really close with the extra 154 out there, 200 with the. I mean, this is going to be dicey. Barak, what a spot for him.
Again, one of these spots where you're kicking yourself, like, how could they wake up with it here from the big blind, right? He's worrying about Kravchenko, and Diego feels priced in to call. Big hand here.
Yeah, he does have to call ace, jack, ace, king for Barak in the lead to the river. Needs a heart 3-1, purely 3-1 now. Exactly. Needs a heart or a jack, and it is a
that's so sick.
Nasty stuff. That the ace 10 beats ace king, the ace jack beats the ace king, and we are down to 8. So it took the hard way there. Pretty brutal. Pretty actually brutal for Brock. What a spot. Unlucky. And Diego, he's up there. Is he chip leader? He was 8th position. He started 8th with 19.9 big blinds. He is now your chip leader on over 66. Pretty nice spin for him.
Yeah, those two, I believe it was a 9 on the river again. This time the 9 of hearts helped him out. So these 9s are lucky for Diego so far. Just shows you the crazy equity flips in these final tournaments. As Kuznetsov was all in ace 10 against ace king, dominated for a pay jump, and then Barak gets it in good, as a 70% favorite, and then he gets sucked out on. So it's just so wild how these swings, how to think about the dollar value behind these swings is really crazy.
Yeah, there is big equity, and again, so many players here we see frequently, but again, some don't play as much, or it's just such a huge spot. Some of these runouts, these beats, these chips worth so much real money as we see the payouts, and now down to 8, everyone gets a jump there. It is not fun when you get to here, you play well, you get to it, you come in, you get the break, Sunday pauses, final table, then Tuesday you come in, take a cold one, and you're out. But again, it happens, and all these players, they play a lot. Who they do, they get there sometimes, they get a little unlucky sometimes, they get lucky sometimes, it's part of it. But we have seen some drama and interesting runouts today thus far, as ace 3 bluffing, queen deuce top pair, going to make a call in a big size pot there. Nice hand for 2 pair, going to make the call. Bruno Volkmann, well done. 2.5 million, going well so far. Both Brazilians in good position. Chip leader, a little bit of a hit. That aces to 9s going to come right back. King queen suited, another heads up match going to be going here between Diego and honestly, with 10s and these guys, this stack, calling makes a lot of sense. I don't think you want to be 3-betting, blowing up the pot, getting blown off, or getting a weird spot. So he is going to call in position to have the best hand, and then get a flop where he shouldn't get in too much trouble. 2 overs there to his 10s.
Yeah, I like the flat as well there with the 10s. It's pretty tempting, to 3-bet given it's first against third stack, but good discipline there. These guys have been there before. They know these spots in and out, and it's going to save them some money here by playing these 10s a
Very,
little
very
bit.
similar stats in terms of earnings. You can see Kravchenko, Diego there, the right and left of your screen, and you can look at the pre-flop stats. So a bit different. The VPIP 20 to 31, 23 to 13, 3-bet 9 to 12. I mean, just everything a little bit different here as we see a turn check. And wow, 10's going to put pressure on, and king queen suited. Not a ton of hands you love here that you're doing great against. I mean, sure, you have king queen, you have a gut shot. The 10 of non-club would make you the nuts. Queen or king could be good, but what hands does he have that he's putting this bets in? I don't. He can't love this.
No, this is an excellent bet from Diego, recognizing that his hand is likely not going to be good a lot of the time. He's got the straight draw open ended, as well as 1 club in his hand. So should a club come, there's a lot of rivers where he can also get Kravchenko off. And look at that, the pressure works, and puts queen king in a really difficult spot. Really well recognized there, well spotted by Diego.
Yeah, as I said on a flop, he shouldn't get in too much trouble, but as it turns out, he actually finds a way to win the hand. So just, again, finding creative ways to play. It's not just, hey, I'm going to call, and if I get out flopped, I lose. He had a plan executed, and we would have seen, again, interesting rivers could have happened there where he's going to fire and continue there, and that's part of the problem. Kravchenko, again, you start looking at hands you're beating. It's not many. There's really not many on that board that you're even ahead of at the moment. So good execution from Diego there.
Yeah, and good discipline from Kravchenko as well. Even though he was ahead in this instance, right? You got to start thinking to the river, right? He knows that a huge bet could be incoming on the river, and is he prepared to really put a lot of his stack in with an unimproved sort of second pair? So, he went for the kind of conservative approach, and as you can see, the script has been flipped a little bit. Now Diego's got the chip lead, and he can start putting the pressure on Daniel, which was really well done there. Bruno really mixing it up here with the ace 5, 3-betting the under the gun open from Ponakovs, which is really interesting, considering Ponakovs is the shortest stack, right? Look at these click sizings are so cool. They really put your opponent in such a difficult spot, right? You're either representing, some sort of semi bluff hand, and wow, Ponakovs reshoves over the click. This is and Bruno calls. Yeah, he's committed.
Wow. Ponakovs finds it ahead. Ace 5 suited, dangerous. Got that little wheel runner diamond working. Doesn't come through. Ace 8 in the lead. There is chop opportunities in the 8, though. Going to pair Ponakovs, secures a double. Well played, does go for it there. Really impressive to go, I guess, again, some history there. To put ace-8 suited in, decide to make a stand there and go for it there. That is, and be right. Then he has to hold, too. So nice play. Back to $1 million, 20 bigs, plenty of play. Pretty strong hands from both players there. Ace-Jack suited 10s. If we know anything about MV, let's call him, he is going to be playing here with 10s in this action. And Diego, ace-jack suited, pretty close. Right? I mean, you're flipping, king-queen suited maybe. I don't know if ace-10 suited jams, but does make the fold. Would have been flipping. Nice pickup there for MV. Not afraid. Blinds are up 30K, 60K. 900 watching right now. Appreciate all of you. Please let us know where you are watching from. Sebastian Crema, you can give him a follow. Instagram, Twitter. I got the $50 tweet out. I'm gonna get that link for you guys again, but you can just guess who the winner will be. That is my tweet for today. Didn't put it in the wording, but it's binding. I will do it at the end. Only 10 of you just now have done that, so good luck there. And then again, the end of the show, once we get down to forehand, they're gonna put the keywords out for 50 and a 100 at the end of the show, and we will have some keywords for that. It must be subscribed, must hit the thumbs up. You can go ahead and get that geared up already, get that checked off. A lot of you have done that. Appreciate that. Hope you're enjoying. Hope you're coming to the Bahamas. Hope to see you there. That will be a fun one. Do you think they'll hit it? Have you been following this 50 mil? Do you think they'll hit the 2,000 entries? I mean, there is a bunch of online sites, but do you think that will get done? Do you think they're going to get that guarantee handled?
I think so. Hopefully, with all the online, promos and opportunities everybody has to qualify, I think they'll get there, which is going to be super cool. I mean, the Bahamas tournament is such a unique one in itself. It's one of the tournaments that attracts more of a sort of wider field in terms of high roller buy-in type events. So it is really unique in that aspect. You can almost compare it to something similar to the kind of main event WSOP, where a lot of people will go there to play. Sort of a bucket list item. Kind of one of the wider fields, more open fields you see in that type of buy-in.
Completely agree. This is a Volodymyr. There he is, man. Queen King, just sort of quietly finds hands, makes the best of situations, and is now again quietly chipping up. I feel like he's just that kind of always lurking, dangerous. People respect him, but he's not doing any like super crazy stuff. He just seems pretty solid and finds the right good timing, good understanding of what's happening, has a good image, and very capable. I think that was your pick, right, for today? That's sort of how you think he's going to get it done?
Yeah, he was one of my picks for sure. Got an incredible 20% final table percentage of entering these events, which is the highest of all the field here. Online specialist as well, so clearly comfortable competing against these guys, and kind of could be a bit of a silent assassin there in the background. So far he's navigating it well. I'll say, if anybody's kind of being a little bit more creative, it's been your pick, Bruno. He's picked some very interesting spots right there with the ace-5 suited 3-bet against Ponakovs, sub 10 BB or just around 10 BB under the gun open, right? As you mentioned, these guys have competed with each other before, and that the history is such a huge part. So he must feel that, if Alex is min opening as opposed to shoving, he's got some weaker hands in that range that he could fold. So he just decided that he would go with the ace-5 there. And then, Alex was also aware that Bruno could be 3-betting a little light and shoved it in with the ace-8, which a lot of people, would sort of think to muck there, right? So both of these guys are on a different level, and they're very comfortable, clearly having played with each other before. So it's super interesting to see the dynamics here that go on in these spots.
Yeah, and again, my highlight hand, I think, of the day, it wasn't the biggest pop, but it was just a very cool hand and definitely high-level stuff going on there from both players. And kind of, I think Bruno made up his mind about calling it off, right? He's like, all right, I'm going to do this. And if it, it's got 30% against any hand but aces. And again, both players making good assertions there. And one hand had to win. Ace-8 did hold up. No chop. Did take it down. Shout out to Benjamin Ennington over in the UK, watching some familiar faces out there. I see a lot of Brazilians in there. Vamos, gente. And I do have a special place in my heart for Brazil. And again, some of the countries I would say that have been thriving in poker, not only just growing, but also the support and just the energy is high. Brazil always seems to be jovial and have a good time and support their fellow players. So it's always nice to see when people are in the chat. Any Brazilians out there, drop the flags, drop a B. Anyone going to the Bahamas, let me know. Hope to see all of you there, or have, there's ways to buy action, multiple places you can pick up action and go ahead and buy some sweats. A lot of people down there. And again, I think they'll hit the guarantee too. I think it's ambitious. I know there's been some great 1,500 satellites on the weekends. I think they had a 50 seat guarantee for the 20 or 30K package, where they were doing that with the 14 nights at the Atlantis 5-star resort. Beautiful place down there. That was part of that. I don't know if they're doing the 50 guarantee anymore, but I think there is a bunch of satellites still for that price point coming up here. And that's a good way. Satellite's always nice to get a trade. That's something fun about satelliting in to a big event, right? You get in for cheap, you get your hotel and everything kind of handled. You just show up and it just feels a little less stressful than going in and buying in to a big event and having to handle everything. So I really do like how that is done. I just remember back in the day, there was all these packs. That was such a way people would satellite to the WSOP or to a lot of these different Caribbean places. You would get these packages, but the 30K package, that's a big one. And it's a 1,500 entry for the main satellite that I know GG has been running. Anyone want to see anyone going? Let us know in there. And I do see the Brazil in there. There's the hearts, the flags. Vinicius should have won Ballon d'Or. Junior, are you a soccer fan, football fan? What's your favorite sports?
Yeah, big time, man. I actually grew up playing soccer, been playing for over 30 years, still play to this day. Played
Nice.
for a couple university teams up here in Canada, which is awesome. So it's been a huge part of my life, playing, coaching, some refereeing as well. So I got to go with my boys, Juventus. My dad is Italian, so I've always loved them, grown up watching them, having some sick teams, Edgar Davids, Pavel Nedved, those guys, Ronaldo a little bit more recently. I know they've been unfortunately embroiled in a little bit of sort of scandal stuff over the last few years, but I like to think that's kind of out of the way, cleaned out, and they've turned it around again. So
absolutely. I'll tell you about cleaning out. Queen 5 off, cleaning out the suspect hands. This man is an animal. I'm telling you, those stats, you can't really paint a better picture with the 1 out of 11, right? Just that he just won it, and now he's chip leader today and just going for the Queen 5 off. You can go ahead and basically guarantee there's not one other player at this table, let alone in GGMillions, that we'll see the Queen 5 off, shoot it up there in that spot, that position. That is a impressive go for it. And again, timing. You just, you run into aces, ace, king, kings, queen. Like, it's just the timing, the understanding, going after a big stack, realizing their range is wider. It's all these little things, right? That the right formula to do it. That is well played, and just gets it right here. And here he goes, 9-10 suited flatting against this particular hand, not in great shape. But let's see, Volodymyr with king queen off, also a hand that could play well as a squeeze versus a late position cutoff and button flat. Let's see if he does elect to take that, but he does just call, and he does out flop both players. Having the queen of diamonds nice too, just a really strong flop, and these two hands are in couldn't be in worse shape. The tens literally have one out, and probably just going to get to safely arrive to the river here, I would imagine. I don't think 10-9 suited going to do too much here, but hey, then again, Kravchenko does seem like a guy that just decides sometimes, like, hey, I'm just going to go crazy. And then you're right, it looks calm, it looks peaceful. How could king queen not win this hand? Well, I'll tell you what, you see a triple barrel somehow, or just a absolutely turn jack of hearts, decides to go huge on the turn or something like this. This is possible.
Yeah, you know what, Kravchenko, the way he sees this, I actually kind of like this bet, I think, because having Kovalski having checked, he's thinking that he likely just got to worry about Volodymyr in the big blind. So if he can maybe get the flop, might be the time that he tries to get the one bet through. So we'll see now if he continues to barrel. I mean, the ace doesn't make too much sense for him to have in this spot, I think. So, but it would, there you go. And he decides to shut down. It looks like he was just likely taking one shot at that pot, which I think I like, and probably going to concede it to Volodymyr here, but we'll see.
This guy's got me at the edge of my chair, because he's definitely a guy too that could go bet, check, just absolutely barrel, under kind of realizing too his opponent could have some flush draws or queen X that's scared, and then depending on the river, if there's a no bet or what bet, that he might go for it. But again, Kravchenko, although he appears wild, he also does have discipline. He knows that how he is perceived, right? So you can't, when you're perceived that way, it doesn't mean you can just go crazy all the time. Otherwise, you're just going to get picked off. So he does elect to slow it down. And to be fair, I don't know. You know, he barrels big on that. Yeah, bet there would get it done, I think. But if he just bets the turn, I don't know. And then does he really want to just randomly shell it off with 10 high, no equity bluff? Probably not. So again, good discipline, showing us he's got gears, not just straight fifth gear all the time.
Yeah, I like the flat, and I like the sort of attempt on the flop, which I think could work a decent amount of time. And just he went for it and then shut it down. So you're right, really good discipline there. I like his hand selection not to 3-bet there as well with the 10-9 on the button. We talked about the dynamic between him and Kovalski a little bit, having always 3-bet him, and this time, you know, Kovalski had the 10s, and he likely wouldn't have been able to have a chance to realize his equity with the 10-9. So he's really playing an excellent game so far. Very, very impressive, recognizing his image, like you said, as well. We got 7s here on the button against the ace-9 in the big. Yeah, all in. And a call.
All right, Volodymyr, your guy, ace-9, 2 powerhouse players here. What's going to happen on the flip? The ace does come, but a 7 with it, 100% on the turn. Needed a miracle, as it is a GG situation for MV going out, and he is saying what tomorrow? What's that? I said something. That was different language, but that is, I believe, as small writing on the screen here. That is GG. We're down to 7. 3 more will cue the giveaway. Make sure you are eligible for that. I've put the information there, and again, the lot to play for today. Lot to play for. Pay jumps get big, exciting stuff, and again, these players, most of them will likely see in the Bahamas. That's one thing I will say. I don't know the you know, you talk about a 26K, 50 mil, right? Is it going to be soft where you find 2,000 players? But there is a lot of entries online. A lot of good players have a chance to get stacks. I don't think it's going to be like a cakewalk 25K. At the same time, there is a lot of satellites. There is going to be, you know, I think there'll be some good value. I just don't know if it's going to be the softest 25K in the world. You're going to show up on day 2, or you play day 1 down there. You're going to go on day 2 and see Ponakovs. You're going to see, you know, Chidwick. You're going to see these guys with big stacks, right? They might have played multiple bullets. They try to go for it. They realize how much value there is to get a stack. So I think you're going to run into some, you know, you're going to run into some formidable opponents down the stretch here, as we see ace king and ace 10. And Kravchenko's not used to getting played back at, and he's got maybe a little bit of sour taste losing the ace 10 to ace king. Actually, just a reversal of these hands. And if it were to go in, would be interesting if this time the ace 10 could suck out on the better hand. But I don't know, Kravchenko, I can't imagine. This doesn't feel like a spot to continue, right? You get some resistance. It's in the big blind. There's another short stack with Ponakovs, and I don't think that's the spot where he's just going to randomly go for it.
Yeah, big blind 3-bets typically, you know, are pretty strong. Obviously, these players are more than capable of mixing it in there. You notice how some people, you know, some players might just want to rip that ace king there, whereas these guys are very comfortable to sort of induce, you know, to protect their lighter 3-bets, which they might make some of the time, right? Even though starting playing ace king off, if you do get flatted out of position, can get a little uncomfortable, unimproved. But these guys are more than happy to induce and take those, you know, gamble a little bit to try to get stacks. So good discipline again by Kravchenko. As you said, the ace 10 not really performing well against the big blind 3-bet range.
Yeah, exactly. And again, makes good decisions. That's what happens. You win titles, you win this, take this down. Chip leader start today. You got a lot of good decisions, a lot of run good. We saw him not run so well with that early knockout opportunity, but other than that, good decisions gone from that point. And here ace king now versus 7-8, gonna have a pretty comfortable win. Don't really see any way. Not gonna be getting to a showdown here.
Yeah, Kovalski not falling for the trap here. We'll see if he does on the river with no showdown value. Look at this. It's being limped by Kuznetsov and checked 3 times. So, you know, wow, look at that. Very impressive discipline by Kovalski, recognizing that, you know, that he may have some traps there, and he was absolutely right. And, you know, the limp check was likely the only way that he would have got money out of that pot, and, you know, didn't end up working out for him this time, right? But very smartly played there by Kuznetsov to try to induce a bluff.
Yeah, I would say this has been a pretty pretty well played final table this far. Again, not wow. King 3 suited gives it up there. Just getting respect. I mean, that's part of the fear. When you put that fear, when you instill that power, you do get some extra walks, extra respect, extra kind of people wanting to be risk adverse to you. And he does just go ahead and pick up a nice walk with a very unnice hand as ace king suited. Not many things to talk about there. Not much to look at. Just gonna win with the ace king suited.
Yeah, it was too bad for Vaskaboinikau there. You mentioned he's been on a bit of a heater. We didn't really get to see much from him today. Not many hands, not many opportunities, and he kind of got it in a standard spot there, button versus big blind, which is unfortunate. Sometimes that's how final tables go, right? You just don't have many spots and have to kind of. So we didn't really get to see him maneuver too much today, which is too bad. But I guess he's leaving some for the other guys because he's been on a tear himself.
That's exactly right. Ben Edgy in the chat, my man, saying I'm flexing the local paddle league trophy in the background. I will say I'm obsessed with paddle. I really am. That's that game. I can't say enough about it. I don't want to get on a rant. I don't know if you play that at all, but that is a beautiful game. And again, pickle, all good. Got fine. I know people like pickleball. It's the fastest growing sport in America. Paddle's not far behind. I'll tell you. I just think that is the greatest game. I can't say enough about it. I just can't. I don't know. Have you played it yet? Is it popular out there? Is it a thing yet or no?
No, I haven't played it, Jeff, but you're going to make me look into it because I grew up playing tennis. I still play tennis and do play a lot of squash. Played some pickleball last week, actually, as well. So paddle is kind of the one I haven't really delved into, but it looks so much fun. I've seen those videos, man, those guys running outside of the arena to chase down the ball. Is that you out there or what?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not quite the runouts yet. We're not, because the thing is, the level I'm at, people aren't really making that shot where they get it out yet. But I'm close to breaking to the next level. We're going to talk more about paddle, more about poker, more about the Bahamas after a short break. Take a look. Daniel Negreanu is going to tell you what's going on at the WSOP Bahamas. We'll see you in a minute.
In case you haven't noticed, we're into breaking records at the World Series of Poker. Bigger and better is just how we roll. We did it this summer, as you saw, with the main event. Speaking of the main event, the WSOP just had a super idea for this year's WSOP Paradise in the Bahamas. For the first time ever, WSOP will host the super main event, a $25,000 buy-in with the biggest guarantee in the history of poker. Wait, is that number right? 50 million? What? 50 million? You guys are nuts, for real. Huge prize pools, massive water slides, fun for the whole family, and the chance to hunt bracelets with the beautiful backdrop of the Bahamas beaches just a few sandy footsteps away from the poker room. 15 bracelets will be on the line with buy-ins ranging from $2,500 up to $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, a $1 million buy-in. The WSOP has partnered with the Triton Millions to bring the largest poker tournament in WSOP history back home. So what are you waiting for? Come make history with us again at WSOP Paradise.
Hand to wake up to, and we are seeing a potential intersection. Ace 4 suited, similar spot where there could be, I know and Ponakovs, when he does get 3-bet, I think he's just gonna rip it, so that's gonna take away that possibility. But we're gonna see a call, and knowing that tens is gonna do pretty well here against the jam, he's actually gonna get to see a good situation. I mean, to be fair, Bruno doesn't love this, but he is going to assert best hand jacks probably is not going to open rip. So with that being said, he actually gets it behind, and a quite action flop 2 spade. Turn is a big card. Now needs a 10 or an 8. Flip the other way. Bruno going to miss that, and Ponakovs getting the best of it right there. Everyone's showing cards. Everyone's showing emojis, having fun, and that is sick. That is a double. Bruno going to go ahead and get a bit unlucky with the 2 all-ins. He gets one slightly behind and the other very ahead, but ace 4 suited dangerous, as we said, about 30%. Just one of those hands. Got the broadways, got the ace in that case versus the overpair to the 4, the 10s, and then of course the spades, which did come home there. So big moment there for my guy Ponakovs. 20 million lifetime earning. I think you can go ahead. I'm not gonna, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he has more live earnings than the entire country of Latvia combined. Second and third have about 2 million or so. So we're at like 4.5, 5 million, and then it drops 800, 600, whatever. So, but before you get down to people with like 30, 40K scores, it's less than 8 or 9 million, right? So I'm pretty sure that man has the entire country covered. I don't know if he's ever thought of that or looked at that, but that is, I don't know, you can find any country where a player's got more than their entire country. Because then you look at, Bryn Kinney, you look at Bonomo or other, Negreanu, right? Canada, these countries, like there's a lot of great players, a lot of earnings, so they don't have their countries covered. And, I don't know, maybe a couple others you could find that. I doubt it. Pretty impressive stuff. And again, he got a little lucky, but he's also making plays. That's the difference. If you're at home, you're like, I'm losing ace, queen, ace, jack. It's so unlucky. Maybe you're down to 8 or 9 blinds. Like Ponakovs, these players, they find spots. They take the spot. They understand part of the problem or the risk is that they're going to be behind, but also they win, 1 out of 3 or 30-something% of the time. They get that stack where they do double instead of waiting to get shorter to get it in good. They risk it that way. So I think that's a good way to look at it, try to understand. And it's not always about getting it in necessarily slightly ahead. It might be better to get it in worse, but at a different time or from a different position, taking that risk. So nice execution there.
Yeah, that's right, Jeff. You got to take risks in these tourneys to chip up. And sometimes, it might appear that you get lucky or suck on opponents, but, a lot of times the plays will get through and you'll get those chips when you don't have to see a flop, and then you'll put yourself in a better position to, survive an all-in later on. So, poker, you got to take chances at the right times. And a guy like Alex surely knows exactly how to do that.
Well, 5-6 suited. This is quite a flop. The 5-5 ace with a king 10 suited here. Backdoor hearts, king high could be good sometimes. Does maybe want to consider calling, but the same token, board's paired, just doing really bad against an ace, flush draw, as he does call. And a little bit adventurous to call, but also not crazy, right? He knows Diego. He's opening 6-5 suited, so he's certainly opening 7-8 suited, 8-9 suited, queen jack, jack 10, you block. But like hands he's beating, he has the backdoor hearts, and maybe his opponent just slows down. So again, the 5-6 suited, not the best card. Now lose to flushes, but you still have trips, and an ace X you also get value from. So he goes big here. Interesting size, very interesting. You were mentioning Juventus, so I am a big AS Roma fan. Some of my very closest friends, they bought the team years ago, and so I know a lot about Serie A. I follow it closely. I also played soccer throughout my college, even through college, and that's my game of choice. But that's my point now. I'm so into padel. I love it. Like I mean? Like I don't even want to play like pickup soccer or anything. Like I just want to play that. So I think you'll be very happily surprised. And I'm not going to just trash pickle and say, oh, it's whatever. Like it's just, I get it. I see it. Pickle's cool. It's fun. It's a wiffle ball. It's like a different speed. It's a different game. Padel, you kind of get that hybrid between, I think, tennis and pickle. And there's a lot of the cardio's better. There's more movement. There's more opportunity, and it's faster. Like points are just back and forth. It's enclosed in the walls, and it's just kind of like, it's just a faster tempo game. I think anyone, if they play, and they go and try it and then they don't like it, let me know. I'd be shocked. I would be shocked to hear someone tell me they don't think it's a better, more enjoyable game than that. It's emerging too. Sweden had 6 courts in 2014. Now they have 3,000. It doesn't have to be just outdoor. It's actually a lot of places indoor. It's easier because of the weather, right? It's winter or it's rainy. Even Miami, there's a lot of indoor courts coming up now, right? Because of the sun, because of the weather too. And it's there's not really a limitation to climate for it. You can put it indoor. And here we go. Ace Jack makes a move, and Fabiano had a nice queen king suited, an interesting hand he could get involved with, but it looks very strong from the short stack there. Not going to be likely folding, and he does get it done with the ace jack, best hand.
Are there sort of paddle specific clubs, Jeff, or is this sort of mixed in with other racket sports typically, or
it's almost always specific? There are some tennis clubs or some places, like I know there's like, I'd say generally now there's specific paddle clubs, but I am seeing it, there's like tennis facilities that have added like 3 or 4 courts, so they have some pickle and paddle, but yeah, it's mostly the same at one place. I think you'll be shocked. I'm just telling you, you'll reference it maybe anywhere you're watching. Let me know where in the world you're watching from, and let me know if it's popular there, because I just have a feeling that you're going to see these pop up everywhere. Like I'm telling you, places that have never heard of it or seen it, it's just going to be, it's just so infectious. There's no one I've met that's like, yeah, it's not for me. Like I don't like it. No one I know that like goes there like, yeah, I didn't like it. I'm sticking to pickle. Like no one's said that, but yeah. Anyway, that's my rant on that. Very much an advocate for it and sort of obsessed a little bit obsessed actually. Yeah. Where do you play pickle? Are there a lot of courts there? Is that grown a lot? Is there a lot of courts by you?
Yeah, it's definitely grown a lot, and it's funny because I come from a bit of a tennis background now, transitioned more into squash, and like there's a huge beef between the tennis community and the pickleball community up here because we got a lot of nice public courts here in the Vancouver area, and pickleball is sort of setting up shop, and the tennis players aren't too happy, so there's a whole funny little dynamic there. Last week was actually really cool. A friend of mine's got a warehouse for his company, and we kind of cleared it out upstairs and played pickleball sort of in a setting that was almost comparable like a Saw movie. Like it was abandoned, like felt like the unused warehouse. It was really cool scenery. 4 of us got together and there, played on the concrete, which was really fun.
That is fun. I will say that the barrier to entry, right? The courts for padel are like 30K, so or 40K even. So it's like with the walls and the glass on it. So if you're like a business or someone starting this and they're gonna like fire it up versus pickle, you can take a tennis court. You can take and just put lines on it. You don't need that much. So, right, that makes it a lot easier. It's just a lot more, to fire up a business model with the pickle too, get a lot of courts and there's not as much cost. So I think that's like the one thing that does have a bit of a, there's a hurdle with that, but I think it's also getting more mainstream, cheaper bulk stuff. And it's just becoming, I think you'll start seeing it more, but it is a little bit easier. A little easier to just kind of do the pickle stuff, but I don't know, whatever. It's all fun, whatever. It teaches own, right? Everyone has something. Look at this river. The 6 comes, Jack 9 was very much comfortable in the lead. And this is quite a hit from Volodymyr, who's up to 3.7 million. Just to note, he is our chip leader. Did we miss a hand during the break or something? Was there something? Cause like that, I mean, I didn't remember him getting that big of a lead. Look at this sizing too. 4-liner against the big blind, hits his hand and goes for value. And if you have Jack 9, this is sort of a weird one. It's almost like you feel like you're beat, but you don't really want to bluff. So yeah, this is nice hand from Volodymyr. Very nice. Quite a river, by the way. Quite a river.
Yeah, recognize where he was at there to get some value with the 6s. Really nice sizing on the river there. And, as you can tell, Bruno calling with the Jack 9 obviously thinks that Volodymyr will have some bluffs there for that size also. So, again, probably some history coming into play here. Now, this is an interesting one here with the Jacks against the Ace Queen with 2 sort of middling stacks. You wonder how Ponakovs will play this. And the suited version of Ace Queen plays nicely as a flat here, which we could see, and wow, he just decides to jam. And now
I'll tell you what, this is ICM. Like, this is not a comfortable spot. I mean, the thing is, does he do it with queens or kings? So probably not. You take that sort of out of it, or aces. So then you're like, all right, do I really want to flip for it? It just kind of looks like ace king. I don't. Wow, he calls. It's close. We're going to see it. This is a massive pop. Ponakovs running hot thus far. Gets a pretty cold flop. Needs help on the river. No chops available. Going to be a 6-outer pure river, or we will see that is a Brazilian run out right there. Jacks, 5s full of jacks, and Ponakovs puts it on the line. Also a guy just not afraid to go for it and just sort of leverage his stuff. And then with some short stacks around, he decided that was time to put it in, and you know what, you can't blame him. And nice call with jacks. I think that's the problem. If you see his hand, you call though, if you're Fabiano. So like, that's the problem, man. Does he really have, like, are you really in great shape there? I don't think he's shoving 10s.
Yeah, it's a really difficult spot, right, with the jacks. Like you mentioned, it does really just feel like sort of the ace king, ace queen. Again, you see these guys, like you mentioned, they might do sort of a click raise with like aces, kings, or queens just to induce. And then, if you're, he must be doing, I guess Ponakovs must be doing that with hands sometimes like queens, of course, to balance out, right? Otherwise, if every time he clicks, he has the, I guess the pairs and the bluffs, right? But he decided to shove the ace king and ace queen type hands, and because but it's a very difficult spot for Kovalski. I like your question. If he sees his hand, does he call? Maybe not, given the other stacks that are out there. But Jacks is such a difficult decision on that hand. I think tens he'd probably throw into the muck, and Jacks is kind of the one where you can go either way on it.
Eight four Jacks. I mean, eight's gonna go blocker here. Jacks don't see much other point to just call. Does do that. Good result. Gonna realize yeah, you got to feel okay there, right? Feeling pretty good. I don't think you're too worried about losing, but you can't raise. So nice result for Jacks. Jacks hot today. A problematic hand many players talk about. That's one that, it's glory comes and glory goes with Jacks often. That is a hand that a lot of money gets put in with, and sort of you feel kind of forced in sometimes. Like that was a good example of that, where you just, don't love it, but you kind of have to call in many respects. Or do you? Maybe a hand you should look at. That would be a hand to review. One of the hands you talk with friends and see what should you be calling with. And it's got to be close to the bottom, right? Tens, you're probably not calling. So Jacks is not a mandatory call, but a strong call. Did have the best hand, did hold, and did go for it. Was definitely on the line. They were very similar in stack size there.
Yeah, and it's funny how in poker you can kind of narrow it down, right? Like queens would, be a definite call there, and then tens, as you mentioned, is probably a fold. So like you get to these instances where you pinpoint the exact hand where it kind of becomes a sort of decision point, right? And I think Jacks in that instance likely was, in terms of pairs, probably the best hand he would ever fold there. So that's when it gets super interesting, as you mentioned, to break it down, to discuss and kind of go back and because, like you mentioned, kings, aces, queens, easy, but these pinpoint decision that we have in poker come up so often, and it's so important to get them right. And Kovalski, it shows he could be somebody who's not willing to, he's not afraid to go for the win here, right? As you mentioned, he's got no title so far to his name. So him, Kravchenko, we've seen them be willing to get it in, to play for chips, to take this thing down.
This is a nice bet from Volodymyr. It's up to over 4 million, and he's getting a potential better hand to fold. He does get it. The queen 10 and another player behind. Volodymyr does get Fabiano and Kravchenko, who chip leader now down to 2 million. You can see he is actually in fourth place, so not gone super well from him. At the same time, they're about 30 blinds, plenty of chips to play with. Plenty of chips. So this is wide open now. Our short stack Nikita off the 10 blinds is also with a playable stack there. And our Bruno, who I said I thought might win it today, is in pretty dire straits, under 10 blinds, just about 10 blinds right now.
We've seen one of our first sort of small blind versus big blind pots where the small line has kind of come in with a, not a strong hand and raised. There haven't been too many of these so far at the final table. As we get, more shorthanded, obviously we're going to see more. But these start to become pretty interesting too, because you're not going to have always premiums. Blinds are important to steal, and see how these guys navigate here out of position. Zeiter checking back the queen 8, which is very reasonable, some showdown value, and the small blind could have some aces and stuff too. So he wants to pot control a little bit there, especially against a chip leader. We'll see if Volodymyr just playing this as a give up now, most likely, given this run out, right? But you never know. We'll see if he comes with something on the river.
Yeah, making a lot of notes. This final table is interesting. Also, I am putting up GGMillion highlights on my Jeff Gross Poker account on YouTube. So if you obviously watch the show, it's more fun to do it live and get to sweat it and all that. But there are the knockout hand highlights that I do put up on Instagram, and then the replay. Going to be getting those on Monday from the prior week out there. A few out right now. So, if you miss it or you want to just go back and relive the knockouts in a quick format, do have that there. And again, giveaways are on a lot of giveaways we do via Twitter, and then 2 here at the end of each show. So hope you guys are enjoying those. and I want to do some vlogs. Do you do any other content stuff besides some commentary? And you've been in poker, you said, for a while. You've had some good results playing. Do you do some other type short content? Like, what type of content do you like to do, or how do you share your sort of updates within poker with your viewers?
Yeah, I do a little bit of the commentary, as you mentioned, Jeff, but just other than that, mostly on the social kind of stuff, Instagram, more than anything.
Hold that thought. King 5, Jack 4, diamonds are covered, and we do see diamonds come out. Jack 4 needs a lot of help now. A Jack or a 4, we're going to get a double for the Brazilian. Can Bruno hang in there? It is a 8. That is clean. That's a nice spot. King 5 suited does hold, does get a good flop, and did get a double. So I'm sorry to interrupt you there. You said on your so you do sort of socials and then Instagram, you provide updates. Like what's like your most what do you find most enjoyable to do that?
Yeah, honestly, man, just getting messages from people who I've been friends with for a long time, whether it's friends who are not involved in poker, or friends who are involved in poker as well. They kind of like following along with updates and stuff like that. So everybody's super supportive and welcoming of any kind of updates or content or whatever that I post and give out. So I'm happy to sort of continue to do so when I sort of travel to these events and things like that. And the feedback. Oh, we got a.
Wow, he's just not afraid. You said it. Fabiano, the Brazilian, he's got to fade some stuff. Ace Jack does look vulnerable. Can he get a sweat? 8 of hearts, something exciting. The 9 is something. 5 outs now. 9 or 10 would need it in a very dramatic way. The runner.
Oh my
9-9. Not like that. The Jack Deuce 3, so clean, no heart or open end on the turn. And the man with 10 blinds is now second in chips. That was a hand. That was an absolute running 9s is pretty insane. That is crazy. And he actually started off with the ace 10 ace king, and that is OMG out there. Brazil, man, they're in there. Man, Gente, that is not what you want right there if you are a Brazilian fan. Whew. The 9 though, the 10 okay, the 9 and the 10, but that is just spice, man. That is really
darkness for Kovalski there, as he thought he had that one locked up on. Couldn't have got much better of a flop, really. A couple back doors, but man, to wake up with that is that was not necessarily a mandatory shove either from Kuznetsov, who showed that he's willing to gamble. Obviously, unlucky to get it in here. And what do we got here? Another hand. Limp jam from Kovalski with the ace-7 now, and he calls. Wow.
This could be crazy and really big moment for everybody here. The chip leaders start the day also. Wow, open-ended, needs help. 16% on the river. It is not gonna be in. This man who was in second is now out in, what was that, 6th place. So we're down to 5, and our chip leader who started the day is about restored in basically tie, let's call it, for first place. So that is a ton of action. If you're at home and you take a break, man, I don't know. That's why you can't just catch the highlight knockouts, right? There's a lot of hands in between. There's a lot of excitement, and there is a double. That was the crazy swing there, where I guess it was a knockout, but Kravchenko gonna go ahead and move on up back to a very promising position. Whoa, that's a lot of hands there.
I mean, how quick was that, Jeff? Kovalski's turned to dust there in like 60 seconds, back-to-back hands from almost getting a guaranteed 90% double up off the Jack Deuce 3 flop, and then he's out the very next hand, right? That's just shows you how insane these final tables can be and how good you have to run. That's why some of these guys make it here so many times, but they just don't get the cards to fall their way, and that was like a crazy example. Just out so quickly there.
That was a lot. I'll be honest. That was a lot to take. I just, man, I feel the pain. Brazil, and look at, and Bruno was in the absolute short stack. 6-7 handed now. He has got 1.5. He's still short, but well into it with over 20 bigs. So things happen fast, and it's also the ace jack off. Like, that's a big call. Like, yes, you probably have to call. You should have the best hand, but you're risking a lot of chips. And again, like, you're not just going to get a dominating spot. You're going to fake flip. You're going to be against a hand such as king, queen, or 9-10 suited. These type of hands where you're not dominating and you're putting a lot of your chips at risk. Not saying you shouldn't call, just saying to consider. It's not like it's not like you have queens or ace king there. You have a vulnerable hand, and he did. I mean, he got the Jack Deuce 3 and just ran off the 9-9. That was pretty sick.
Yeah, pretty unlucky as well to see the 9-10 there. I think a lot of times Kuznetsov will have some worse aces. So blind versus blind, despite, like you said, a lot of the time, might be a 60-40. You just got to call, and unlucky to, be only that small of a favorite in that spot where it's a
This
huge.
this could be bad for Diego. He called with the ace queen, the club. Like, I mean, that's sizing. He may lose him here, but I think he probably had some plans himself, depending on what happened. If there was a check or a small, he has got plans. He's peeling with the ace queen of clubs. I mean, if Kravchenko, I guess, if you get called in the turn, I don't think you can check the river though, right? Your opponent obviously doesn't have the nuts, so like you let him check back. I was just thinking, like, is Diego going to be bluffing here? Sometimes maybe on a shutdown. As it plays out, Kravchenko certainly not going to check. Can't let like ace, a king strong hand or a lower flush somehow, like a jack queen of clubs or a queen 10 of clubs, get off, just check back, something like that. So he's going to go for it. I mean, obviously Diego with this hand, not much you're going to do. Can't really be bluff calling ace queen high on that board, but really got a nice big turn bet there, Kravchenko. If he had found a check in that particular spot, yeah, I think that might have been the one. But I mean, I get it. Why we see the cards, right? You can't bank on your opponent going to be having one of the few hands that he's trying to float and bluff with. So nice pot though. 5 mil. Started chip leader, remains chip leader. He's had a little bit of a ride today, but he's also in there 3-betting, 4-betting, queen 5 off, and ace deuce off, and playing, as we said, big boy poker, not just he's not just peddling, that is for sure.
No, definitely not a nut peddler for sure. We love to see that out of him. And I think with that big turn sizing there, that's likely something that he'd also do with just the naked ace of clubs, and he'd potentially take that line as well. Which,
well, okay, with the quad K, a ace queen off is sort of unlucky. Ace queen here is like really the best hand you can have, other than a pair, of course, but also to bluff with, right? You got the ace and the queen. Not that you necessarily need to bluff, but like some low pairs or something you might want to follow through with. And just king 7's thinking, all right, what do you have? Tell me you have jacks or tens or somehow aces. But this is just, does Diego want to keep betting, or does he slow it down, preserve it, a little bit of chips? But I mean, I don't know. You also just have the best hand, right? Like ace 10, ace jack. You got hands that are just going to call you that you're beating. So this is always tricky. How do you play this to get value? Do you put the check raise in ever? Do you min raise? Do you do something creative where you put someone in a tough spot? Because if you just call, you can't imagine many hands that get to go for value on the river. There are some. Maybe it's better just to check, close your eyes. And yeah, I think Diego with ace queen called twice, going to just check back. That's a bit unlucky.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's kind of tough to get value there. With the king 7, the ace queen, just hoping to maybe get some value from worse ace highs, and smartly shuts down there on the river. But yeah, if you put the check raise.
With that being said, again, we see the cards, right? Like when he has 9s or 10s or even jacks or whatever, like some big pair, there are the combos of that, and he's going to likely go for value. That's really a question that you got to ask if you're Volodymyr there. What does he do with 10s or 8s? Is he going to go for the value, or does he check back? So I think that's, like, again, trying to know how the player plays. And okay, 5-3 going to give it up. 7-8 suited, take it down. 5.2 mil, 4.6. Blinds are up 40K, 80K. Got about 1,000 on. Welcome everyone. Be ready for the giveaways coming up here at 4handed. You got to hit the thumbs up and be subscribed to this channel. And my Twitter giveaway, I'll put it, again, I'm going to put it in there. It's been a while. You guys can get in there and get a chance. Guess who's going to win? Don't need to get the right guess, but you can, I'll put the link here. $50 cash. Doesn't need a GG account. Good luck. There it is. I can't do much more than that than tee it up for you there. The link, instructions, cash money. Don't need to have a poker account. GG, what a beautiful site. What a beautiful thing. Buying the WSOP, 500 million, just a cool 500 mil purchase. Now the biggest brands in the game combined. It's nice. Nice to see the WSOP Bahamas Doing that again, strong 50 mil guaranteed main, super main, 26K buy-in, 50 mil, ace queen, ace three, sticks it on up. Big chip allotment there. The ace queen he's risking, but again, just no mistakes. 40, 80K. It's not that many blinds. And does decide just to lay stake to the pot, lay claim to the pots. What do you say? I can't see that. 1 or what? 9-4, another walk. Kravchenko. Diego started in 8th, down to 5, is in 5 of 5, but pretty good if you look at the pay jumps there, right? He has locked himself up over 100,000. So started out.
We got ourselves a collision here.
Does he find? Is there a way where he just calls here? I mean, he's super dialed in. Look at this. I mean, wow. And then not only is he just call, he gets a good flop. That is quite the flop. How frustrating is that? I mean, he happens to have the ace queen, right? But when you have ace king and you get called and it's just like queen high. I mean, again, it's heads up high. You're gonna have the best hand still, fair amount. But it's just like, you're just like, come on, give me that clean ace high. Like in a spot like this, it's such a big swing, right? You get, instead of the queen flop, you get the ace, you get 2, 3 streets, big pot here. Now you're just like, wow, am I really beat? This really happening? And is he just getting out of the way, right? Wow.
Yeah, waves the white flag there with the goodbye emoji. And yeah, Volodymyr with the flat there with the ace queen, despite having the opportunity to put pressure on Kuznetsov there with the 2 shorter stacks, smartly navigated that spot there, and it worked out very well for him. He didn't want, thinking ahead there, he maybe didn't want to get into a massive pot there against Kuznetsov, but you see them varying the strategies here, right? Because it seems like such a natural position where you just want to 3-bet, you're ahead of the button's range, but the dynamics of the table, he elects to flat and pays off for him.
It's why poker's so fun and tournaments are so fun and why the strategy is so different. Like you see Ponakovs pushing the edge and ace queen suited jacks calling off where you get this big flip. And that's, I think, a little bit of an insight into his game where it's like, all right, let's play post flop. I don't need to get in. I'm going to pick it up most of the time if I 3-bet it. I'm going to get coolered sometimes and I don't want to flip. I have too good a hand to 3-bet and then not continue. So I don't want to risk that situation, which in that moment it worked out for him very well. But that's always, these are the decisions you have to make, and it changes. It changes on your stack size, your opponent's stack size, the other stack sizes, what part of the tournament you're in. There's a lot to look at.
Diego thinking of hitting the water with those sailboats there. He wisely throws them into the muck. Again, those small pairs kind of shrivel up a little bit as a 3-bet, especially with that stack size. So he feels he's going to get called a lot and it's going to be a flip at best. So I think he wisely chucks the 4s there, even though it's a 5-handed game. And we see the 3-bet there out of Bruno with the 6s. Again, not afraid, going for it. These guys are not, a lot of these guys are not afraid to chip up, and Bruno is certainly one of them. So I like your pick there, still in with a good chance. Okay, we got fireworks brewing here. Could be a double for Bruno through Volodymyr, but we'll see. If this 3-betting comes here, 9s are in a difficult spot, but 5-handed, it's such a strong holding.
Yes, flatting makes a lot of sense too, sort of in that exact category of too good to 3-bet fold, but just nice on the button here. And 9s now, based on his game again, could just call, easily could just call. Squeezing doesn't seem to do a ton. You're turning your hand into a set mine, but you're also, wow. And I mean, this is a very surprising play. And honestly, based on Bruno and how he plays, I don't think he's gonna fold this, except that maybe with Volodymyr, he gives him a little extra credit than some of the others who plays just maybe a little bit. No, he's got and he gets the dream scenario, still has to win. It's 4-1. So not a guarantee. 10s to 9s. That is a nice one. Needs runner. needs to find something. There was a very nice card for him, double gutter, 8 or a queen on the river. It won't be, that would have been a little too much to see another crazy runner, but 10s. Bruno, my pick, 3.8 strong from 500K to 3.8, making light work of everything right now. Pretty crazy spin for him.
Yeah, he doubled there, and that might be, again, one of those positions where, like, 10s could be sort of the precise decision point there. Like, are you really calling that off with 9s? Maybe jacks is a little bit more clear. But Bruno, as we've seen, is not afraid to get it in and play for the win here today. So he elects, probably thinking that Volodymyr is doing that with, you know, some pairs below his, obviously, like he did, 9s or 8s, and enough of those that it merited 10s to be a call there, which is not an easy spot given how short Diego is. But again, these guys are going for it.
Yeah, ace jack gets a pretty sweet flop. I mean, king 5 does have the live king 5, also the diamond sweat, but this is one that of action cards. This could be very problematic for Bruno. So he gets he does actually pick up a gut shot and the second up flush draw. He has a 5 to go with it. Definitely a hand you could see him putting pressure on here. I mean, also realizing that there are going to be some, ace jacks, maybe even ace queen, maybe with flat, probably with 3-bet. That's a little too strong to just flat, maybe cut off, or I'm sorry, the hijack cut off. But I think he does. Okay, goes for a controlled situation here. Makes sense too. And wow, ace jack checks back. That's a bit of a bizarre check back, no? On the ace queen jack rainbow board. Or, I'm sorry, ace queen jack turn flush draw board. I'm a little surprised by that.
Yeah, I am too, with the turn flush draw and a straight draw out there. Again, potentially looking to do a little bit of pot controlling himself, but he, you know, the turn is a place where he could have got some value there from some of these draws.
I'm a little curious his reasoning. Is it, does he worry that his opponent could have ace queen or is trapping, or is he just like maybe looking for a clean river and go for a big sizing and do something? I'm just, that was a little bit too high tech for me. I think I'm a little surprised on that. What do you think his reasoning to check that is?
Yeah, against Bruno, possibly he could get maybe paid on the river by disguising his hand by something like a queen, potentially. You know, obviously the river was not ideal for him in that instance. And against Bruno's particular hand with the king 5 of diamonds, yes, he would have got value, but you know, he feels that that disguising the turn, his strength might help a lot in most situations. Obviously, it was not the case here, but yeah, still a bit of a strange one for me. As we get an all in here,
big moment for the field.
Yep.
Big moment for the
giveaway.
Would have been down to the giveaway if he needs now a 6. All of a sudden, ace 5, Diego spikes it, and he needs some help. Bruno is running super hot, and he is going to get a river. Ooh, what is that? Is that a? No, that's a. Oh, I thought it was. I'm sorry. I thought it was a 6. I saw the 5. I was like, wait. I thought he's really smoked the 2 out of there. That felt like it. I was thinking 5 in my head, but no. Diego was secured with the ace. He didn't need to improve. That was a false alarm for excitement, but it was. You know, he didn't improve the 2 pair. Still nice to know Diego can do it. He is back to 1,000,000, 30, 40K, 80K blinds. Queens for our guy. Kravchenko came in chip leader. He is still holding that down, although he didn't maintain it the whole way. He's been sort of bouncing around here as a ace-6 suited. Bruno has gotten spicy with these suited aces today, and he knows that Kravchenko is definitely at the chip lead, going to be opening wide. Could elect to be aggressive here.
Yeah, that's what I thought might happen here, and he's likely going to find out the bad news. I like the a6 3-bet hand selection, though. It's a bit of an awkward one to play out of position. You know, the chip leader could be opening light here, so I like his hand selection here with the a6 suited. Just unfortunate timing, and we see the click back here from Kravchenko. Now we've seen Volkmann get really, you know, creative with some of these click back pots where he hasn't done what we necessarily thought he might do. Again, this is such a player-specific scenario. These guys know each other very well. There's leveling wars. And look at this. The click induces the jam.
Wow, 6 mil pot. Brazil came to gamble today. A6 suited to queens, clean flop, needs backdoors or an ace. Now an ace only, about 7%. 3 outs, 1 to come. River card 5. That is going to do it. Kravchenko, can he do it on his second FT, get his second win? He is now a clear favorite at 8 million. And man, that guy, you know, listen, when you click it up with queen 5 off, when you make moves with ace deuce off all day, you get bites. And that was it. He woke up, queens held, really crazy hand, big pot, 8 mil going his way on the chip count. And that is his to win. We got the giveaway now coming. We got the Twitter as well on my Twitter. That's live. That is moving. I see everyone getting involved there. Thank you for the retweets and the energy. And that was, I mean, you call it a punt, but also, like, again, you got to be in order to live, be willing to die. Amir Vahidi in tournament poker. That is an important principle. And that was just a ill-timed moment.
You know what? Yeah, this time it didn't work, but we saw him do that against Kravchenko King 9-0 when he 3-bet him earlier, and Bruno got the click back with a suited ace as well in a similar situation. So we got it through that time, but just unfortunately didn't work this time. He feels it's going to work a lot of the time, and even when it doesn't, he's got 30%. It might look like a, you know, bit of a crazy play to some of our viewers out there, but again, he's willing to get in and take those chances for those chips, and sometimes just it doesn't work out.
Nines, King Jack. I mean, this is another one where I got to get these giveaways here. This is what nines against Sorusi. Min raise short stack. Yeah, nines. That's a lot of hand. It's enough hand. He's going to call, going to get there out of the way. Another flip. We could be 3-handed. We got to get these giveaways going. What am I doing here? This could be nines, King Jack, no king or jack. Nines clean. 2, the river 5 would be a chop. So things happening fast. It is a clean, but is that a 5? That's a no. It's a 2 across. Is that a 4? That is going to be a 3-handed. All right, we got to get this giveaways. What are we doing here? Like, we're going to start with we're going to go GG WSOP. Give Sebastian some love. Enter in Sebastian, and then your GG Poker username, and a reminder, $50 giveaway. All right, that's that. Put it once. If you spam, not eligible. All right, good luck. I will get that moving here. Wow, down to 3. Moving quick. What time is it? It's early right now.
Yeah, these guys have been willing to get it in, though that last one was a sort of a standard clash there, more usual than you'd see King Queen and against the nines, as opposed to some of the more creative all-ins that we've had. But that was kind of unavoidable here. And Diego, hey, he had a good little run up there. Came in 8th place starting today. I'm sure, you know, he's obviously going for the win, but 4th place, you know, is a great result for him. And he navigated that well to get to that spot. Now it begins to get really interesting as you get down to sort of 3-handed and eventually heads up play. You really get to see, look at that. Nikita folding the 9-7 suited there on the button. He obviously feels like Kravchenko might just be attacking him in some of his opens there. I think that's definitely the Kravchenko factor into that fold. But 9-7 suited off in a hand that's definitely strong enough to open up on the button 3-handed.
Yeah, we got a 54K pay jump here between 3rd and 2nd. Again, no deal making. GGMillion playing for wins, playing for titles. Got to hit the thumbs up and be subscribed to win the giveaway. Good luck, everyone. Boa sorte. No more Brazilians left, but you know what? They love good poker. Might be sticking around. 2 of the Brazilians entered and were in good position today, but didn't take it down. They were 2nd and 3rd. We got to see on the pregame show. Reminder that is half an hour earlier than normal. You guys get to get a look at the players and get an insight into everyone. So that is something cool to do. And we've been adding that as well each week. And I think today, who stood out for you? Who has been so far the most impressive?
I really like to say Kravchenko has been the most impressive. He is willing to get in there. He is willing to put his opponents in tough spots with these sort of click sizings, not always with premium hands. And then, even though Bruno has left us, unfortunately, I was impressed with him too. Like he was selecting these suited aces to do these small sizings as well and isolate opponents that he feels could be weak in certain spots. So I think those two, for me, have been the ones who have been getting after it the most out of anybody. A lot of sort of maybe standard spots for some of the other players, but those two guys are kind of have been going out on a limb for me today, and willing to mix it up the most. So I like my guy Kravchenko now to take this thing down. What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, he's, again, his style, win or go home, and now he is chip leader, 3-handed. I think he's impressed me in spots. He just seems, he's also got some really nice hands. He's been super aggressive. His timing's been so crazy good. Like, he bluffs with queen 5 off, ace 2 soft, gets folds from solid hands, and then he has queens and gets it in, versus a hand where he's still vulnerable, right? It's not just like a lockup win, but he's ran fairly well. He came back from not being a chip leader, and he's back in there again. So yeah, I'm impressed, and just think that, if you're gonna take a style, everyone's got a style. That's a good style to win or just not cash, right? Like to literally win or get top 3. I think that's a big thing. Again, looking back on my career and some feedback advice I'd give to players too. It's like, I'm not saying you just got to punt or try to just like rip it all in, but getting those top 3 finishes are so valuable versus getting a lot of 7s or 12s or 15s. Like, great, it's great to cash. It's great to get, final table, but the money, if you really look at it, you just go out a little bit earlier, take a few more risks, like a Ponakovs, right? Ace 4 suited, rips it in. Look, he runs into a hand. He's going to get folds a lot, or he's going to win that pot, and he's going to, do something with it. So it's like, I think that's a big part of it. You shouldn't be scared to get 8th or 6th or 5th, right? You should, that's like a general way. It's okay, to do that, because the money is up top in a lot of these. So especially with flatter payouts, I think it's an important thing to be cognizant of, is that is something that you should be aware of. So I think that's important to note. And I think Kravchenko's definitely got that ticked off on his game tree. Go for it. That is definitely not a weakness of his. And here he goes, top 2, not much for his opponent though. 9-7 off, likely just gonna be moving along here. Does get a little cute, the 9-7. This is what I'm talking about. Volodymyr's got a couple gears. Look at the 9-7 float with no real back. I mean, it's just a bit cute. I'll tell you what, if Kravchenko ever mixed in some like nutted checks after his opponents are float him really light. I mean, this would have been too much. That would have just been a little bit too much to turn, get flown. Aces here, king 8 suited. Kravchenko happy to put some money in the middle. What a spot. Our short stack. This is our guy. Was it 30-1? Nikita, 30-1.
That's right.
Was 10 bigs and now is in 2 of 3. So he has had quite a ride today.
And we'll see if this is one of those spots where Kravchenko decides to get creative, right? With that, maybe, this could be one of hand where he decides to potentially click back, although he's getting to a point where he commits a lot of his stacks. So it might be a different situation here, but we've seen him not be afraid in these spots, especially given that Volodymyr has the second. Volodymyr's in 3rd place right now. And he makes a good discipline fold, again, recognizing these spots to perfection. Picking and choosing his moments very well. Could have definitely, king 8 is a strong hand suited, 3-handed on the button, but recognize that 3-bet was likely very strong. Good fold by him.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It's just super interesting. I'm just really impressed with this player. And again, it's like there's just in a short sample, you get to see hands, and run good's important, but he's really just put down some aggression, and it's worked well thus far. Really interesting. Really,
again,
just to be here 1 of 3 is crazy, and he's got a huge lead. I was saying that it was interesting by that size with Nikita. He really put a huge 3-bet out there, right? Which like, in a way, it's maybe leveling, right? To like look weak in that spot, but I'm a little surprised. I would think that it would serve him better to not go so big with that.
Yeah, I think so, especially maybe to invite one of those clickbacks from Kravchenko. He made it a size where if Kravchenko clicked it again, he'd be almost at like, I think 40% of Kuznetsov's stack. So it made it sort of difficult for him to respond to that sizing. I think with aces in particular, they're a little bit smaller, would have served him better. But
yeah, that's the interesting part, because we'll get such a small sample and there's only these stack sizes with this many left. So we don't really get to see what do they do, are they balanced or not? That's sort of the thing. Like you start talking exploits, how are they perceived? How are they getting to, it's like how many times you're going to play with Kravchenko three-handed when he's covering you in a mystery hand. We haven't had one of these today. This will get you the edge of your chair. Would let Sebastian take a crack at it. Queen 4 suited in the big blind, first position versus second in terms of chips going. Volodymyr takes a back seat, and queen high flush draw, paired board, king 10, 2 diamonds. Start with a check. What are you doing here? Let's see what Kravchenko goes. Bet you like call, raise, definitely not folding.
Yeah, I think in this spot, even you do have some showdown value with the queen high, and can turn some backdoors as well. I think I like a call in this spot. Turns a pair here, fours. We'll see what Kravchenko comes with. What about you, Jeff? What do you like on that flop there with the queen 4?
I think especially when you have doubles third and you realize that he's incentivized to put a lot of pressure, you just get to, I think, not really do much there. Just call like you do, like you mentioned, great point. You have showdown value and of course a very strong draw. Board is paired. We have seen, I'll say something I've noticed about Kravchenko's game. He has really put pressure on. He's so aggressive that when he's had his value, he's really cranked it. We saw him with the ace 3 nut flush, like barrel, right? Got the ace queen to fold. But what about the time when he has king queen here and his opponent has 10 jack, right? So he seems to size up on his value as well, which makes it very difficult to play with because he bluffs. But then when he has value, he does get a lot of value from people that did have trust issues with him. So I don't know. This is tough. You block. This is not a great bluff catching hand for the record. He has diamonds that miss, queen jack or queen 9, these type of hands, he's blocking those, right? So like you have a 4, yes, but you'd rather have, this isn't like a fist pump call by any means. This is a great mystery hand and a great bet. What do you think he comes with here?
Yeah, this is so tough. He's basically saying that he has, he wouldn't be necessarily playing a 10 like this. Basically saying he has a king or some type of, big pair that he's trying to get value from. And look at that.
This guy, is this guy, can we get some hearts in the chat? The 8-9 off turns the 6 for the straight option there. And that is a great play, great hand. And you can't blame the fold. He has the queen and diamonds. This is like not great cards to call with. So excellent hand, Kravchenko, man. Give him his flowers. This man is playing to win. We got to get the other giveaway, right? Or we wait till heads up. Let's see. This could be over quickly. I'll wait a few minutes. I got to announce the first one. Give you guys another couple of minutes to hit the thumbs up and enjoy that hand. That was a highlight hand for sure. What a bluff. Well played, man. I'm excited to be here and excited to see great plays and excited that everyone's getting to see a great performance. And Kravchenko, an open invite to be on the GGMillions. We're gonna have to make an extra guest be ready though in case you make the final table. Again, we got an all in ace 10, king 8 suited, very live. This is interesting and this would even things out. King 8 is in behind a sweat. No, needs a king or an 8. You can see the outs there on the river and 9. So this is going to even things up, but still for Kravchenko, he has both players, almost 2-to-1 covered, right? So he's still got a pretty good position, but that is a nice spot for Volodymyr. So your pick. How are we doing on our wager here? Nikita's a long shot. No one had him. Kravchenko's a chip leader. You had him. Do you have both of these guys?
I think I got both, Jeff. So you know what? You might owe me a little dinner here, pal.
All right. Well, yeah, you have to win though. So my shot, I'm rooting for Nikita for a wash here. That's what I need. I'm at the point of a wash. That's not great. That is not great for me, but yeah, you're in a good position. Everyone's enjoying it. And we got another giveaway to do. And I will announce the $50 on my Twitter. That's still live, by the way. I put the link a few times. Just go to Jeff Gross Poker. Check out the tweet today. An impressive 75 million in earnings amongst GG alone. That's the crazy thing. We're not talking live earnings. We're not talking, there are other poker sites, although you may not think so because GG is that strong. It's that good. Maybe you don't play in any others and I don't blame you, but there is other earnings from other sites. They exist. There is others. So like these guys have 75 million earnings at GG in this final table alone. There's 11 titles up for grabs. In terms of a new winner or not, Volodymyr has done so 2 times. Nikita has he got one. He came off 10 blind state, and Kravchenko would be I'm sorry. We've got 4 titles amongst these 3. Every player here has won. So we're gonna see a 3-time winner or a 2 be a repeat. So no new winner today. That is what we got. That is what we got. We got a repeat champ coming in, Jack's strong hand. And again, it's getting a little tighter here. And announce once we get to 140 on the thumbs up, I'll announce the winner, and then we'll queue up the $100. And it could go quick. This could go soon. 116 you hit up, got 1,000 on watching. A lot of international crowd today. The Brazilians may have gone out, get some acai. Ponakovs, I think they might have left. Their Brazilians have been out for a little while, but again, if you love good poker, great poker, you want to stick around, see who's going to win. You been to Brazil?
I have not, actually. A good friend of mine, ElkY Song, who's having a heater of a year this year. He was just there at the WSOP Million series. He didn't do too much down there, I think, this time, but he's, I think, leading the WPT Player of the Year race right now. So he's
that?
His name's ElkY Song.
Oh,
he's
okay.
had six six-figure scores this year. The guy is just an absolute crusher. He came second in the WPT Jacksonville main recently and shipped the 1100 prime here up in Canada at Playground recently, WPT. So he's had an incredible year. He's sort of in that group of think tank and friends that I kind of mentioned to you prior to the stream with Nutty Wolves and my boy Fantastic Fox. So I'm very fortunate to be able to, be in discussion with some of those guys.
And did you just see the Queen 8? He just took it upstairs. Volodymyr steps out, who doesn't step out too often, and then Queen 8 off, just recognizing what maybe a sizing tell, timing tell, or just says, hey, my timing is impeccable. And he did take it up and to get the weak but better hand to fold. So this is the Kravchenko show. I got to get a little more info on this man, but this is impressive stuff. He has been super impressive how he's played and his timing. This actually, though, could work out poorly for him because he could certainly surf this in, considering when he does that. And 8s is going to kind of fist pump, although you don't want to be flipping. You get your dream 4-1 favorite, 8s to 5s, and
and he's just dead.
Flop needs the running 5-5, which we did see running 9-9 for a knockout today, but not going to see that again. And there he goes, Volodymyr. Is he a chip leader? He is, I believe, slightly now. And we have got a very even 3-horse race. All players locking up a nice profit and return from this tournament. No deal making. This is from Sunday. This is going to play out to a winner. And we got a massive guest next week. And again, we can always say a massive final table because we just know it. I just know. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Ponakovs? Is it going to be Adamo? Is it going to be who's going to join us at the final? We know that there's big names and we know it's a big prize. So please set your calendars. Set your timers, and there's a pregame show. And again, you can catch the highlights, Jeff Rose Poker, on my YouTube channel. You can watch the knockouts, a very nicely edited video. We've been starting to do those, so I hope you guys are enjoying those. Those will be rolling out. I'm going to start rolling out like 3 a week because I wasn't doing those, and there's about 100 to put out. So we got to catch up, and then those will be Monday with the prior week episode. You can count on those. So make sure you guys go ahead and do me a solid. Check out my channel, and make sure you subscribe. Those are fun. Those are about 6 to 10 minute videos with just the knockouts. So be sure to check that out. I am excited to see who's going to win this. So we got a repeat champ coming in. This hand has got potential for a big pot.
Yeah, and with all three players so even, Jeff, this is where things I think can actually get the most interesting because you see who's willing to who wants to play bigger pots, who wants to sort of pot control. And this is a sweaty turn as well. Both players are not going to mind this turn as, Kuznetsov flops the sort of dummy end of the gutter to go along with his flush draw, but I can anticipate that he's likely going to bet it here, and we'll see what Volodymyr comes with. Both players with a lot of hand here going to the river. And
well, 9-10 feeling pretty comfy with that straight, and diamonds miss. Does hit a pair. So does he check? Does he bet? Diamonds miss. Does put a cheeky check in, but 6, does he think maybe now I have some showdown value? Do I beat some hands? And he's going to check it back. So nice check back.
Yeah, really good check back there in this spot. Some players might think that turning a pair into a bluff there might be the move. He did have a little bit of showdown value, of course, but not that much given the action, I think. But really, really wise give up there and
Absolutely. Good check back. Let's take a break. We'll see you back in 1 minute.
In case you haven't noticed, we're into breaking records at the World Series of Poker. Bigger and better is just how we roll. We did it this summer, as you saw, with the main event. Speaking of the main event, the WSOP just had a super idea for this year's WSOP Paradise in the Bahamas. For the first time ever, WSOP will host the super main event, a $25,000 buy-in with the biggest guarantee in the history of poker. Wait, is that number right? 50 million? What? 50 million? You guys are nuts, for real. Huge prize pools, massive water slides, fun for the whole family, and the chance to hunt bracelets with the beautiful backdrop of the Bahamas beaches just a few sandy footsteps away from the poker room. 15 bracelets will be on the line with buy-ins ranging from $2,500 up to $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, a $1 million buy-in. The WSOP has partnered with the Triton Millions to bring the largest poker tournament in WSOP history back home. So what are you waiting for? Come make history with us again at WSOP Paradise.
Well, there it is. Daniel said it best. December 6th and 19th, 15 bracelet events, some of the big boy buy-ins, Triton. There's also the 26K 50 mil. Just insane. So, I mean, just talk about run good. You know, you get there. Yeah, sure. The best in the world are playing. There's some savvy winners. You join, you get hot, you cooler some people, bag up on there you are. Day two, you know, you're getting the money. All of a sudden, you lock up a 50-something K cash playing for a cool 8 to 10 million. I don't even know. 50 mil? What do they pay? It'd probably be 8 million for sure. I didn't know if they guaranteed a 10 mil the first, but it's a lot of prize pool available, and it's going to be fun. And I mean, if there's one to run good in, I like this style. I got 2 little kids. I don't play as many tournaments, but it's like I'm excited when I do. And then, you know, it's a little bit. It's nice. You just don't know when it's your time to have a big run. You know, is it a 1K? Is it a 500 online? Is it a 200 online? Is it the daily 20? Is it your local casino nightly, or you just pop a 8 million score? And this is, you know, it's about the main event, right? It's about the size WSOP main event at first, but with much less players. So again, a pricey point to get in. Sell action, satellite in, buy in, whatever it might fancy. It's options, but it's pricey. It is a big buy-in tournament still. 25K, not anything to slouch at. And here, 7-8 suited. He's thinking about the backdoor hearts. He's got the gut shot and king 10 with the club comfortably. Hello, that is a card.
Drills it,
and also makes it compelling for Kravchenko. Although he does have like a showdown-ish hand, right? He's got a key club. 10 could be good. He gets called. He's not going to love the club. He does have a king of clubs. This is a very intricate turn. Let's call it. This was probably the most interesting card in the deck, actually. The actual most interesting. Make the straight. And then he also has some key stuff happening here. Does he think, could he take someone off they said just good recognition. He's like, all right, like I either lose to a flush, I have equity. I also have some showdown. I don't need to start bluffing here. I don't want to be bluffing. I want to take my free card. And now 7-8 feels pretty confident, right? There's king jack. There's flushes that beat you, but as played, you got to feel pretty comfortable here.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see what sizing he elects to go with here. Definitely the king, the check back with the king 10, I really like. It's kind of a too strong to start bluffing sort of hand when you got the king of clubs in your hand, and some nice showdown value with the king kicker also with the 10. Now with 7-8, he goes almost full, recognizing that, you know, a flush is going to bet the turn at least a little bit of the time. So we'll see if Kravchenko can find the hero call here. Against Kuznetsov, 7-8 is such a sneaky one. He blocks the king jack, right, with the king 10. So it's possible here that he
does he ever turn his hand into a bluff? I mean, just to like get I don't know, like is that possible with all these is it just you can tell he's upset. He's like, I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm beat. I could turn my hand into a bluff. I could fold. I think all options on the table. He only has 2 million behind. That seems a little crazy, right? If he does turn his hand into a bluff, loses, he'd be down to 900. You know, does a queen jack, maybe like a hand like queen jack, decide to now bet the river for value? It doesn't look like a blocker bet. This is a very interesting hand. 240 on the chess clock, time winding down. No player in real jeopardy at the moment. And he does call. Okay, goes with call. And I think that he was really considering all things. Maybe all in is just too crazy there in that scenario. But again, does now go to the short stack. 3 of 3.
Yeah, and that's sort of the first real misstep in a significant pot we've seen from Kravchenko. Like, I mentioned earlier when he checked back those aces against the rivered set of nines, I was really impressed with that. This one is tough, though, given the 9 is a little bit disguised on the turn, although, you know, of course, Kuznetsov can have flushes there, so he maybe could have got away in this instance, given the 9 was a club. But having the king in his hand obviously was a huge factor in making that decision, and he sort of his first misstep, so we'll see how he responds here.
All right, we're getting close to announce that first $50 ticket winner, and then I'll fire up the 100. And on mine, I'm going to pick my $50 winner on Twitter in the next half hour. You guys can get that link. Again, that is on Jeff Gross Poker, the tweet from today. 3 giveaways, 200 total in value. How was your online? How did you start playing? Did you deposit a chunk? Did you just dive in live? Did you go to free rolls? How did you get into poker? Where did you start diving in?
Yeah, definitely a little bit of online, back in the day before GG's time. And eventually, of course, now here in Canada, we're very blessed to have access to GG to play full time here, which is cool. So done a mix of the online and live thing. Primarily just heading down to Vegas, and early on in my career ran fairly hot in some live tournaments, and sort of developed a bankroll based on that, and been kind of grinding a lot of the live stuff since then. But of course, that's been able to give me an opportunity to dabble a bit online in some of these smaller buy-ins, huge fields, and I love the MTTs, man. That's where my sort of I feel my sort of specialty is, and I love playing them, and GG has developed into such an incredible site with so many options every single day. This Black Friday week was super fun to be a part of. I don't know if you were firing at all, but I definitely was, and yeah.
Black Friday I was living in. I remember exactly where I was when it happened. That was a crazy moment. I was just, I was living in Baltimore. I was up visiting my friend in New York City, woke up, saw the DOJ stuff on the flash on the screen, and kind of like, wow, like I was just playing online poker frequently. And then I kind of realized I couldn't just stay there and do that. And it was pretty, overnight. April 15th was 2011. It's crazy today that online poker is still in the US, where it's not just like, okay, all good. You got to look at which state it's in, or some states are okay. Things are, it's just like wild. Like there's sports betting, it's just whatever now. Daily fantasies just, go crazy. But poker, the most clear, obvious, by a mile, beautiful, pure game is like wow, it makes no sense. It just really is so crazy. But I mean, I would have lost a lot. I would have to bet today in going into 2025, talking about like 14, 13 plus years later, that it's not just like across the board, or, ooh, this is big hands here, this is nasty for Kravchenko. It's crazy. Would never have imagined that.
Looks like we could be getting a limp jam here from Kravchenko. It could be a tough spot for my horse here. Let's see if he's able to tiptoe around this one. But the ace-10 is just super strong three-handed, and definitely played as a limp. Could be in a world of hurt here. And there he goes with the... Okay, so he might save himself here with this sort of smaller sizing.
I don't know. I don't know if I just think this three-handed, this stacked up ace-10 off, it's just like I think he's doing that to induce, not to fold. I mean, you're right. He could save himself. I just don't think this particular hand is like he's looking to put this into like a bluff. I think he's almost like looking to induce ace-5 suited or some other hand. But you're right. He could also make a player dependent, fold. I just think this situation is tough to not look at this for value. There it is. He's going to go for it, and this is going to get snapped. And again, ace-jack suited just pipped Kravchenko 1-for-1 for winning at risk here. Your man Volodymyr is in a nice spot going to the river. Has to fade that little pesky 3-outer. Can he do it? Yes, he can. 100% lock it up. Kravchenko won't go win-win. He is going to settle for a nice score. He played great, had himself another opportunity to win. But again, 192, nothing to sneeze at, 19 plus buy-ins. Now we are going to play for 69, is it 54 plus 15, 69 and change, about it on the dot, about a 70K heads up match. So 7 buy-ins at stake here. Who do you got? Nikita, type N for him, V for Voldemort. Who wins? Of course, slight advantage, chips Voldemort, and we got our dinner free roll sweat here for yourself for Voldemort, who does have the chip lead. So good spot for you. Nice to find yourself in a free roll. And what about betting odds? So you had Voldemort, you put what on him? If he wins, you would be profitable on your 100, correct? I forget what you bet. And his
I think I tossed a 20 ball on him. So hopefully he can get it done here. Went with that number because that's his percentage of making the final table from his buy-ins, which is, again, super impressive. So he continues to just have one of the highest percentages out of anybody here of making the final table from this tournament, which is, the most skilled field online. And now here he is again in an opportunity to win in a heads-up situation. So the online master is putting on a show today for us. We'll see if he can close it out.
Yeah, let's see. This is wide open. The hearts are out. People are excited. We got a $100 giveaway coming up here. Got to pick on Twitter as well. Zoran's making a claim. Deserved in poker. That's a tough word. It's we know we've all had times we play great, things don't work out. We've times we don't play great, it works out. Deserve, got to bring it. You got to bring it. You got to put in the mix. And this is quite a king, which was already winning, but is gonna does Volodymyr want to decide to turn his hand into a bluff? He unblocks hearts, right? So his opponent could have some better hands that are hearts that he could bluff with. He also has a 10 for 10 jack, but I don't know. I think this is gonna probably just end here. I don't think he's gonna, bet big, and that'll do that. That will do that. And we are gonna see ourselves a battle for the title again. We have a repeat champion. Voldemort has 2. He's going for his 3rd. And Nikita, your short stack, your underdog, your 10 blind in a dream. Start out ace 10 all into ace king. Got there versus our chip leader Kravchenko. That's how it started for not what seemed to be a lot of chips. But as we know now, it was a huge swing. I mean, talk about he has at least hit 200 grand extra from that card, and potentially 270. That's a crazy 10 ball versus ace king right there as your 10 blind stack. So trying to show us the true underdog story here. He can do it.
Yeah, the swings at final tables in particular are so wild with him, surviving that one, getting the suck out, and then spinning up to be second in chips. Whereas a guy like, Kovalski, in 2 hands, he was just out of there. Super unlucky runouts for him, set up situations. And then, he's turned from one of the chip leaders to being showered in a matter of minutes. So these equity spots are so high, and it's so, that's why it's anybody's game when you get to this final table, especially with this high level of play. It's so fun to watch. Oh, we got a huge river here. The trip 5s come in against the 2 pair 7-10. Bringing the flush here, I think we'll still find a raise from our boy Voldemort on the button here. Let's see if he cooks up some magic. And now it's a tough spot for Nikita.
And the $100 giveaway is out. This is pretty silly. This is definitely sick. He's got the diamond in there as well. 7-10, pretty nasty river. And he is going to call, and Voldemyr going to get the good news. There is the $100 giveaway. Keyword is GGWSOP space Atlantis space insert your GGPoker username. That is a swing. 9 million to 5.6.
Both players with a piece here now after this flop check through. We'll see if Kuznetsov gets a little sticky here with the tiniest piece of it on the button. He wisely, again, gets away. Pretty smart there, recognizing that even if he's up against a draw. They've got a lot of outs. Good fold there. Premium in the big here. Ace Jack will likely shoot it up. We'll probably be done with the hand here for that one.
Yeah, heads up variance massive. Again, skill levels hard to know who plays more heads up. Even then, you get a player that's pretty versed and not. You start getting in this stack depth, and it's just not a huge advantage, right? You're just not like crushing someone on this. It's like we're not playing 200 big blinds deep poker. You're playing. You start getting into the neighborhood of 20, 30, 40 blind poker, and heads up, you know, you get the hands go in, the coolers happen, and there is skill, of course, but it is not by any means you lose a heads up match. It doesn't mean much in this format in terms of who is more, you know, a better player necessarily, or again, you start out 2-1 deficit. That's a big advantage. That's a big difference. We've seen comebacks. It's not a guarantee to win. Things happen and change fast, but yeah, heads up is definitely fun. The purest form of poker. There's no interlopers. There's no, you know, random people doing stuff. It's just, all right, me versus you. Here's my cards. Here's the range. Of course, we've seen some great poker go and matches and battles and heads up over the years, and people do love it. And it's always fun to see who's going to get the trophy, who's going to get the win, who's going to get the extra 69 and change. And today they're saying, bring it on. And Nikita, he had himself a day. He came in prepared to be out right away. He almost did that. And now he is here, heads up, for the title, for the extra 70, and having himself an absolutely electric day. I got to say, Volodymyr, you called it. That was your pick from a while ago. And he did. He seems really good timing, just seems dialed in, doesn't just pedal by any means, but he picks his spots, and he's a very effective player. Very effective.
Now, this is a interesting turn here as both players pick up additional equity. Volodymyr now with the straight draw and the flush draw to go over his with his overcard as a king. Yeah, I figured we'd see a check back there from Kuznetsov, and he gets there with the flush. I don't anticipate Nikita will lose too much more in this hand, but you never know. He blocks a straight. Oh, it went check, check. Wow. Smart check back there by Kuznetsov. Yeah, you mentioned the heads up aspect of poker, Jeff, which is super cool, and one of the really neat things about MTTs. A lot of times people get down to situations where, you know, they want to chop or they'll end the tournament. Some tournaments don't really have the option. You still have to play down to a winner. But the cool thing about, you know, playing these tournaments out is that you get the opportunity to experience shorthanded play, heads up play, where these opportunities do not come around often. So, you know, it's tough to, yeah, you can go and play sit and goes heads up online, but it's not quite the same in terms of the dynamic as you know, final two in a tournament where the payouts are so different, and you get these opportunities so infrequently in your tournament career that, you know, I encourage people to play them out and take advantage of these situations and you can draw tons of experience from playing heads up and shorthanded play.
Yeah, it's well said, and it just is very true. You just don't get a ton of it. Look at this little out of nowhere. Gets a club, gets a little shot of life, possibility, a lot of money in this middle, and he's going for it. He's telling a story. This could swing things. Nikita in a really good spot if he's able to just hang on here. Of course, has to fade a club and has to fade somehow a fold or getting taken off of it, but he has a really good spot and wow. I mean, he has a club. He's got a jack. Jack 10 makes it. I gotta believe this is one of the ones like Volodymyr, and he puts it in his bag of what if and what do I do. This might be the follow through.
I think so. He's giving a shout out here to Robbie here with the Jack 4-0. Maybe you know, you've seen a bunch more people play that hand, a lot more ever since that infamous moment. And wow, he jams, puts them all in. This is such a tough decision for Nikita here.
Wow, and Nikita's made some folds. Nikita doesn't seem to have trust issues. It is heads up. It is hard to make a pair. You start thinking, what does my opponent have, though? You really do. You lose to a queen. You lose to a flush. You lose to Jack 10. You lose to King Jack, right? King Jack beats, I'm sorry, King, like, well, the king would be, yeah. You lose to King Jack. You lose to King 9. You lose to a lot of stuff is what we're saying. It is heads up. I don't know. You think he calls here? This would have been a good mystery hand for a heads up match to see what you do in this spot, right? That would have been a great mystery hand. I mean, the boys and girls at GJ give us the best action, best hands. I really don't know. He's gonna call.
He finds the hero. Wow, he put the cape on, man. What a legend.
does have a 10, does block the Jack 10 a little, helps him. That is he's going for the 10 BB, ninth place to a win. Ace King to nines. This could be it right here. I got to announce the 100 winner. We got to even pick it, guys. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, get it done. This could be over in a second. Ace King to nines. Is this for it? The 8 seconds on the shot clock as well. There it is. There's the re-raise. And I can tell you Nikita is not folding, barring a power outage. This will be all in scene 5. Ace King to nines, a classic. What a match today. Will it continue? Will it end? Here we go. Nines, Ace King, nines in the lead. Ace King has arrived. Is this it? Nine.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness. A 9. No way. No way. He's a turning river away from taking the unthinkable, the full comeback, and he is going to do it. Wow. We're back to 9-5. Come on now.
I can't believe that, Jeff. His hero call almost propelled him to an instant victory there. But the 9 on the turn, the 2 outer is so nuts. Swings it right back to the pendulum in Volodymyr's favor. I got to say, I'm rooting for my man here. So I'm happy to see that 9 ball on the turn for sure. And as Nikita gives him the old smoke in the face there with a cigarette.
I can tell you what, though, if there's ever a guy that's calm and cool and probably not really tilted, it's him hitting that 10 to start. He just hit 203K additional money from that. So now, I know it was a flip anyway, but yes, that would have been, you want it's 70 more thousand. It's a lot of money, but he's got to feel pretty good about his run today, no matter what, and still in it. Now here he goes. He's in a good spot again here, kind of fighting. That was crazy. No one wanted to go home. Who wanted to go home? I saw a lot of hearts. I feel like people are enjoying the heads up 900 on watching, and we are seeing ourselves a epic battle and a shot clock potential issue there. Nikita could be out running on that.
Yeah, that's what made that hero call all the more impressive, Jeff, is that I noticed that his time he was under 10 seconds when he had to make it. So he really was under the fire there and found the insane hero call for his tournament life. And you wonder, as you mentioned, his spin up from 9th place to 2nd, whether that kind of played a role in his mind, a little bit, saying, hey, I've already, performed above my weight today and had things go my way. Do I take a chance here to see what for an extra, 70K? But it was wild with the time there too. He knew he was running thin, and he found the legendary call. So we'll see if he can get another double and take the win, or if Volodymyr is going to ride that turn 9 to the promised land.
Crazy. That was a crazy one. We saw the 9s are hot today. We saw the running 9-9 versus who was it? It was 9-9 versus the King Kovalski. Yeah, that was.
Was that Kuznetsov as well? It was doing it to Kovalski. Jeez, so he really has come through in some of these low percentage spots to be here. So he's loving life right now. Another Jack 4. We'll see if he's got a piece this time. Man, these guys are loving the Robbie here.
Yeah, she's been a guest on the show. She's come on and given her insight here. So yeah, there has been. I do feel that hand that's one of those, the dirty diaper. There's a few hands that have sort of emerged as fan favorites, and people do, I think, subconsciously they come in and they like to they like to show support, maybe just kind of fun. But of course, heads up, any hand looks pretty good to play for the most part here. He's got 3 seconds though. He may hit 0 again. He's not eliminated. It just means he only gets 5 seconds per street. Do you have a favorite hand, Jeff, that you maybe play a little bit more than you should? Yeah, I hate even saying this because this is true. Actually, my favorite hand when I started playing poker for the first year was Jack 4 suited. 0 to do with Robbie. That just made flushes, full houses. So that's kind of weird to say, because that's actually truly what my favorite hand was for like the first year or so of poker, with I knew nothing about whatever. It just made hands. But my favorite hand to play is Jack 9 suited. That hand just feels nice. Get double gutters, sneaky hands. It's just, that's like the crack aces and those type of things. That's my favorite hand. But originally was, I swear, Jack 4 suited for the first year or so of my poker career. I just always won big pots with it. I made full houses, made flushes, and that was for whatever reason. I just thought of that now, but wow, queen 4 suited, 10 deuce. This could be it. Queen 4 suited is in very good shape. 10 on the turn. That's gonna almost seal it. Needs a lot of help for it's a win. It's an absolute win. The dream, the miracle, the 10 blind to first doesn't happen. He was ace king to nines, ace king flop, 9 turn though. Volodymyr would not be denied his 3rd title. You called it. You got a dinner, and we have got ourselves a 3-time champion. Volodymyr, congrats to you, my friend. What a performance, and just really just dominant play all around. Tell me your thoughts. Who stood out for you overall? What was the maybe a marquee hand? Was there one moment that you felt things shifted? Was there anything that really surprised you today?
I think Bruno's play with the, his willingness to click back some of these suited ace hands. He was right a couple times, then unfortunately ran into the queens of Kravchenko. That was a pretty swingy moment. So I enjoyed seeing those guys get after it. Obviously, a player-specific strategy, and they were not afraid to go against each other. So I was impressed with Bruno's willingness to go after it today, even though the journey ended for him a little bit early. What about you?
Yeah, the Brazilians, man, they were calling Ponakovs, just ripping ace-4 suited, ripping the ace-queen suited, putting pressure, going for a big stack. People were here to play today. Kravchenko didn't get his win for a second final table, but he did show us that he's got mox, he's got heart. I think we'll see him again. And again, this is just so many players that put it on the line. You can see the betting odds to win was a nice payout, 8.78 to 1. Almost the 29.62 to 1 dream from the short stack. You can see how much more of a dog he was than everyone else. So pretty crazy. He was literally a turn and river away from that in a flip. Ace king to nines, the drama, the excitement, the chaos that ensued. But we have announced the $50 winner, the $100 winner. I'm doing the Twitter on mine, Jeff Gross Poker, here in 1 second. And again, Sebastian Crema, absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it. You can give him a follow on Instagram and on Twitter, same thing, at Seba Crema. We've got it there in the Twitter, and as well my post on Instagram. You can give him a follow. And again, he's going to wish him luck if you come to the Bahamas and all your future playing. I see you've got some great scores, and it seems like you have a really great crew with Brett, Alexandra Botez in your corner, and you get to talk and chat with some of the best names in the game as well. So look forward to seeing you rise. And again, no guarantee, but on GGMillions, historically, it's almost a guarantee that there's a big score coming. The booth magic, this thing just sort of happens again. I hope that is the case for you, and we will be following along with your poker career. And on the closing note, tell me, Pokemon, give me what that anecdote is, that you're a world-class collector, participant. What is that? I forgot to ask you during the show. We had so much action.
Yeah, man. When I was a teen, I liked Pokemon, I think, a little bit longer than most kids my age. So I had to find something to do, started getting into the TCG, started competing online, and was fortunate enough to have some results at the World Championships, placing 4th and 7th back in the day. And it's always been a part of my life. Love Pokemon, love collecting, definitely been in the space for the last few years, ever since it's boomed, which has been a lot of fun for me collecting the Pokemon cards. So, I look up to guys like, Jared Blesnick, yourself. You got a sports card collection, and, it's a huge thing. So I love it. It's a passion of mine. When you can combine a passion with, a hobby, that's something that's enjoyable, it's the best.
That's awesome. Well, listen, again, I appreciate the time. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week. Massive show, massive guest, massive payouts as always next week. GGMillions. We'll see you Tuesday, same time, same place. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the Bahamas.